My name is Neel, and this is Uncommon.
My name is Jordan Shanks, and you're listening to Uncommon.
My name is Isaac, and this is Uncommon.
This podcast is brought to you by Morale Media. Are you an entrepreneur or maybe a marketer who wants to grow their business through content production? Maybe you're sick of dealing with agencies or want an outsourced solution that actually fits a budget? Well, Morale Media, our business, can help you with simple and affordable content production, saving you time and money by taking away that pain of producing the content. If you want to learn more, just head to neurale.com/media, which is neurale.com/media. Play around with our pricing, have a look at all the different options that you have, request or consider requesting a callback from me personally. If you have a friend that runs a business or is a marketer, do send them our way. It will help us keep the lights on and producing more juicy content. Listeners to this show receive a special discount by using the promo code UNCOMMON. If you want to learn yourself as to how to create content, maybe you want to make a podcast or your very own video, just download our free series on how to create a podcast and video at the very bottom of neurale.com/media. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon, the podcast that helps you build your knowledge, skills, and mindset through interviews with unique individuals. My name's Jordan Michaelides, and I'm your host. This week's episode is a special for the 2019 Melbourne International Comedy Fest, where we sat down to talk shit about the comedy business with some of our favourite comics here in Australia. Our guests this week included Neel Kolhatkar, Isaac Butterfield, and Jordan Shanks, or Friendlyjordies as he's commonly known. Neel is a comedian. He's a stand-up comic, content creator, and actor with a powerful audience built from his humble beginnings on YouTube. You can also find him acting on network TV shows, including Channel 10's Street Smart and ABC's Virgin Bush. Isaac, or the Buttsman, as he's commonly known, is a comedian, stand-up comic, and content creator, well known for dissecting the status quo of culture through his satirical commentary on YouTube. Jordan Shanks, or Friendlyjordies, is a comedian, stand-up comic, and content creator of Australian YouTube prominence, known for his exceptional commentary on Australian culture and politics. He also hosts the Friendlyjordies podcast, which I do recommend you go check that out. There's countless gems in this 2-hour episode. It's quite a banger. There's a lot in there, including where we spoke about each comic's individual rise, internet versus mainstream comedians, differences in style, their process, outrage and strange complaints, bombing on stage, fast food of choice, and of course, we all discussed our shitty first jobs. If you enjoyed this episode, you're going to like the rest. Do subscribe on your podcast app. Or if you like this so much, consider leaving us a rating. That will be absolutely amazing if you can do that. Show notes and all our previous guests can be found at neurale.com/podcast. That's neurale.com/podcast. Thank you so much for listening, our regulars for coming back, our newbies for giving us a shot. I hope you'll enjoy this conversation talking shit. Boys.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Hello.
The boys.
How's your day been?
Fantastic. I've been running around the streets of Melbourne dressed in this fancy, very loud outfit and just not fitting in at all, but it's been good.
Yeah.
I enjoy Melbourne. It's a very nice place.
How do you guys find being down for the Comedy Fest? Like, is it something that you look forward to every year?
It's my first time, and I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, Neil's done it heaps more than me, but it's a really good experience.
Yeah, I love it. Assuming the shows are going well and the crowds are decent, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice town. It gets more and more Blade Runner every year you come here, though, don't you reckon? Because it's just a maze. Melbourne is just all these tall buildings that have ominous blinking red lights at the end of the night. I don't know why. And then you're just walking around and everything is just ramen bars. That's the only thing that's open. It is the opening scene to Blade Runner.
I never noticed that.
But like, yeah,
all
nice
we need
town.
Is Harrison
nice
Ford
town.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a good point, though. Like, how long have you been coming to Melbourne for shows?
4 years, I reckon.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm the veteran
it
here.
changes.
I mean,
6.
Melbourne is 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been part of the Comedy Festival. This is the 10th year I've been part of the Comedy Festival.
Shit.
Wow.
I did Class Clowns in 2009, and then I did 2 teenage galas in 2010, 2011, 2012. I was an usher for Ronnie Cheng's show
Good old Ronnie Chen.
at 18, and then 2013 Comedy Zone, and from 2014 I've done shows.
Okay. Yeah, it's Melbourne's changed a lot in the last 5 to 6 years in particular. Like if you had looked particularly like the west part, where are you staying at the moment?
Oh, straight smack bang in the city.
Okay. Like Swanston or Collins Street or
You've
something.
exhausted my knowledge of Melbourne. I don't know. But it's like where all the scary buildings are.
Yeah, because like if you go down to the western part of the city, so down near Swanston, sort of Latrobe area, it is basically like being in Hong Kong now.
Yeah.
Like all the buildings are these siloed, tiny apartment blocks, and they just go up like 40, 50 stories. And there's like
That's
20
my
of them.
place.
like
and then
Sydney.
I was like, can I have a blind that works? And they were just like, no. So I would just sit in the dark in this tiny little like pod. You know, it's
Wow.
dude, walking into Melbourne is like walking into the future of Sydney. It'll be Sydney in 5 years as well.
Nah,
But
but I
it's
think
like-
the way that
think it
Melbourne is
already is
built, you could
Sydney.
only get that here. The way that Melbourne's built, you could only get that here.
Right.
Like just that's because there's so much on that side of the city, like old warehouses that have the space for these buildings to just rise from.
I'm still confused. What? So they don't give you don't have a blind? Is there a window?
Sorry. I do have a
Are you in
blind.
solitary
That's my
confinement?
problem.
What's
Yes. That's the long and the short of it. I'm in solitary confinement.
Living life as Dobby underneath somebody's stairs. My apartment building that I'm in.
Where are you
has,
staying?
I know Melbourne as a rectangle.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
on
me
the
too.
outer side of the rectangle. All right.
Which outer side though?
This one.
Okay. West.
The left-hand side, depending where you're coming from. West, yes, west. And my apartment building, it's an Airbnb, and that's the way to go, obviously, when you travel. But I got home the other day to get changed for a show, and the wait for the lift, there's 4 lifts. The wait for the lift was 25 minutes
Jesus.
to get up. The line was outrageous. And this is what people do every afternoon. This is like 5:30, so peak hour. 25, 30 minutes to get up to my floor, level 4.
You had traffic to your house.
Yeah. And I didn't know there were stairs.
That is true.
Stairs.
But what floor are you on?
Wow.
4. I could have easily taken the stairs. I just stood there like a dumb white boy, just like.
40 seconds.
It's one of those things though where you're like, all right, a lift is about to come. It's
Yeah.
about to come.
I just thought it'd come, and no.
it's gonna come.
Some of them went like, even when I tried to go down, sometimes the lift will go past me and then up to level 40, and then it has to come back down to get me. And it's like, for fuck's sake, can you get me?
Yeah.
Like, I want to go where I'm going. I don't care if anyone else above me.
That is-
I'm the most important.
I've
That
not
is
had
more and
these
more common.
experiences.
You need to come
Where
over.
are you staying?
I'm staying at Tom's house.
Where is he on
No.
the cube?
Yeah, he's in Carlton. So he's got a guest room and I'm staying there.
There you go.
So
How much
yeah.
are you paying?
He's a mate. So I'm
Mate's rates or
yeah,
just
nothing.
you're a mate?
I'm just there.
Jesus.
Just there for a week.
Hey mate,
You-
can you help us out?
You really shit me, Neil.
Now, I want to jump to a bit off tangent to your early careers. You said you've been here for 6 years. How long?
4.
4. You've all started in different ways, and you've come onto the scene in a big way in the last few years.
Last year, you just shot up.
Yeah,
Man.
big time.
Meteoric rise.
Meteoric rise, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's been very strange.
We've all discussed your careers in different ways. I'm just curious, as you look back in hindsight together, how do you look at your different rises, so to speak?
Well, I view these guys obviously as a fan prior to knowing them. And I met Neel through just stand up around the traps. I'm pretty sure I booked you the first time. I paid you to meet you. I paid you to meet me the first time I met you.
So it wasn't for my comedy. You
I
just
think-
wanted to meet me.
No, yeah. But I enjoyed
Naturally.
And I the only time meeting Jordan is now, but I've always enjoyed your videos as well. So hello. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, brother. But I think as a lot of people say, the rise for different people is very different. A lot of people grind for a long time and don't get too much traction. A lot of people bounce through. For me, it was making videos for a while and no one giving a shit. And then
How long?
I made videos for about 2 or 3 videos a week for probably about 8 months to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Right.
And then in like a week, I went from 1,000 to 115,000.
That's insane. That's still pretty quick though. I was making videos for like years till I got to 200 subscribers or something. In high school, I remember I'd make sketches and my friends made a Facebook group called Neel Kolhatkar's new videos, heaps funny, lol JK, they're all shit. And that Facebook group got more likes than my Facebook page.
Fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's tough.
How did you keep going?
It was great revenge.
But you're laughing now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did that like really, really drive you that? Or did you just look at it and just think, fuck those people?
Yeah, I always had a pretty firm sense of belief that I was going to crack it and I was going to make it. So I just kept plugging along.
When was the moment you realised you were gonna really make it?
It mentally, or when I actually could see the results and think,
When you could see the results, like was it that Australian 2 minutes?
Yeah, probably the Australian 2 minutes. There was one before that where I did an impression of teenage girls, and that went pretty big. That got me from about 100 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers, and I thought, oh wow, this is amazing. And then a couple of weeks later, Australian 2 minutes took me from 1,000 to 10,000 and that was a long time ago. So
Do you think
that was a lot of subscribers?
This is
back
not
then.
a jibe at you, but do you think you've made it? I have this conversation in my mind all the time where I'm like, I haven't done shit. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to, because people ask me, what's it like to see your name and lights and stuff? I'm like, I don't know.
It's the new normal, right?
It's just life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with that as well. I do think I could say I've made it as a YouTuber,
Sure.
but I think there's definitely a long way to go just as a comedian and as an actor and things like that.
No, but Isaac, you've made it. All right, just accept it.
You
The
made
thing
it.
is, because like, look,
Can everyone say that? Just to make me feel better about myself.
But the fact
go on in a circle. Let's start.
you've made it because you've got
We
that
made it.
mentality, but it can also be a double-edged sword where you have that mentality. You're so industrious that sometimes you don't realise you just need to sniff the roses a bit.
Yeah, but that's a problem.
Isn't that such a difference between the mentality of comedians and rappers? Rappers will get one hit song and be like, I made it, and have like a whole album dedicated to how
Well, and
how
go
they've
buy
made
Gucci.
it.
Go buy
And
Gucci's.
comedians, no matter how big we get, we're just like, oh, there could be more.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
not fulfilled.
but that's always the fear that everything will fall apart tomorrow for comedians. Like,
Right.
because that's my worry. I worry that this is just going to stop next week because
Isaac, 2 words, Carl Barron. Like once
very true.
people know your name, that's it. You're done for the rest of your life. Just buy more Gucci. It's fine. You're gonna kill
Well,
it.
thanks for having me. I think the Gucci store's just down the
He
road.
makes a good point.
What about you though, Jordan? Like,
What?
how do you look back at that period? You know, like
It's just an absolute slog because I can't ride with tides. I'm a wog like you. Like it's just once I have something in my head, I'm just like, no, I'm right about this, and I'll argue with my own audience, so they fuck off, and then it's always just this constant uphill battle.
Yeah.
So I never had like a made it moment. It was just this 5-year long argument, and then all of a sudden people came out and they're just like, we still like you. Most people don't, but we do. Like that was what happened.
So
there.
you think that your own rise to the state that you are now was gradual as opposed to that hockey puck?
Oh, it was that.
Yeah.
It was that trajectory.
Super slow.
Classic uphill. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a different experience to these guys. But I've learned stuff from watching both of them because they actually understand what people like. I'm too autistic to understand that. So like I basically understand what the people like from watching you guys. And then figuring out like, yeah, that's a cool technique, or like, you know, that's like relatable topics, or that kind of stuff. And also you guys just understand the beast that is the net. And I'm always amazed at that. Because that's something, honestly, that there are maybe 10% of our generation employed in, just being like, oh, it's some hot chick that knows what Instagram is. Yeah, give her $60,000 a year to post about orange juice, you know? But you guys actually know what social media is. That's remarkable. I'm still sorry.
So what exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean just the sort of content we're putting out?
The content you're putting out, the length of the content, the actual like
Right,
how you actually get it to relate to an audience,
Right.
how you get it seen.
You
guys do it.
I test a lot of shit. Like I put something out this week, which was a sketch, and I never do sketches, and it didn't do great, but that's okay. And it's just interesting to see what works because you can't make a viral video.
A lot of it is trial and error.
It's just putting stuff out there and hoping it sticks. Like, I mean, it's I guess it's the same with TV shows and those type of things. You hope it works. But as you said, it's a slow rise. My rise started in Newcastle in like 2012 when I first started doing my first sort of like, I guess it's sort of an open mic thing, was like a speech for school captain where I would just crack jokes, right? That was like my first day.
Were you the school captain?
No, listen, I was 3 people, right? 3 positions. Yeah. School captain, vice captain, and like the head of the SRC. I got the head of the SRC.
Oh, right. Participation. Yeah.
And then I tried, my big movement was I was going to bring in the school hats, right? That all from the next year 7 had to wear school hats. That was going to be my legacy. And everyone was going to hate me because I made these kids wear school hats, right? And then this guy stood up. He's like, no, you're doing this as a joke. And I was like, yes. This is the whole point of it. And they put the kibosh on that, which was very upsetting. But
the people who always win are like, I'm going to put Coke in the bubblers. Yes. We're voting for that guy.
Everyday sport day. And
he gets us.
So mine was like from there. I started doing stand-up and then I started to meet people like Neel and Frenchie and Josh Wade, and I was opening up for these guys on the road and I saw that they were making videos and they were getting an audience. I thought, well, I need to do that. They all said I needed to do that, and then eventually I just did that. So it was like a 5 or 6 years sort of thing like that to the point I am now.
I'm shocked more comedians don't see what a lot of us have achieved and just get on the internet.
You know why?
It truly shocks me.
Mainstream
you
comments.
said it. I remember you saying this 3 years ago. Most comedians would rather get a write-up in the Sydney Morning Herald than have an audience.
It's hilarious.
Disgusting.
That's part of it, yeah.
What do you think it is then? Because that's what I reckon it is. They just have this little bubble that they get into, and all they're doing is trying to impress that bubble, which is essentially 200 people.
That's the thing. Yeah, they're not thinking about it practically, I think.
They're not thinking about like appealing to a demographic of human beings.
They don't treat it like a business, and everyone's an individual business in this comedy. Competing against. You're not competing against each other, but you are trying to rise somewhere near the top. And they don't treat it like that. They treat it as, I need to fit into these people. And the only way, even when I started getting gigs in Sydney outside of Newcastle, I was kicked out of the so-called echo chamber bubble, that type of thing that I was in. Because obviously I
weren't punk enough.
I wasn't punk enough, right? I was in the mainstream. I was freaking out. I was starting to get rooms in Sydney that Neel was doing as well. And then people saw that as like, no, he's not one of us sort of thing. And people freak out like that. Particularly,
it's very tribalistic, isn't it?
It is. It's a tribal thing. They're trying to belong to something, and comedy is their vice, their thing that they get around. And as soon as you start doing stuff online, you're seen as the anti-establishment sort of thing. And you're not cool anymore.
That is weird, isn't it? Like
it is, because that's the whole essence of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
It's anti-establishment.
But also all of the comedians in the US have embraced it, but not here. Do you know what I mean? Like all of the well-known, all the guys that have Netflix-related specials, bar maybe like a Kevin Hart, they've all embraced social media / the internet, say YouTube, in some sort of way.
They have to there. Because the only way you can get noticed in America is to have your own audience. Whereas in Australia, you can climb through the ranks by doing the festivals. And yes, by getting enough write-ups in the Sydney Morning Herald or whatever the publication is, you can then get noticed by TV producers.
A lot of the stuff is like, okay, this is the next guy that you have to like. This is the next comedian that you're going to watch.
It's a bit like that, yeah.
It's like, okay, not to name any names, but this is the next comedian that's big and you're going to like them and they're going to sell out at Melbourne because you've seen them on the TV.
There's definitely a hierarchy.
100%.
And they pick and choose who the next big ones are.
Which is why I, as some white dude, was never going to be a famous comedian in Australia unless I found my own audience.
Yeah. Or took a time machine to the 80s. That was about it.
Which, don't get me wrong, obviously it's good to have different people of all different...
Not if they don't have skill.
Yeah, well,
that's the thing that's getting pushed up now.
Yeah.
Just anyone that just fits the quota, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, but here's the problem. You're not funny at all. Don't you reckon?
Like you look at ABC comedy.
100.
But on the top of that, the fact
it's more degrading as someone who is a minority. It's more degrading to assume I've just been handed something because of my thing. And I will say, maybe 10, 15 years ago, there might have been less of an appetite for what you could call diverse comedy. But now it's gone so far the other way that you just have to be diverse, and then regardless of the quality of the content you're producing, you get pushed up. And both of those are wrong, in my opinion.
But it's weird. Like, I reckon we passed that stage with Wogs on Tour. I feel like Wogs on Tour really broke that down. Nick Giannopoulos, those guys in the 80s really sort of changed the landscape in that regard. I remember watching a doco recently, I think it might have been on Netflix, about comedy in Australia and how it had changed. And you're right. It's pivoted so far in another direction. It's weird like that.
And the 80s was a long time ago too. We've got to remember that time goes on.
30 plus 40 years
40
ago.
years. 40 years before the 80s, we're talking about the 40s. It's a long change. And 40 years before that, Jordan, what I'm saying is, if you look back, if you look back at the 80s from now, 40 years, right? And if you're sitting, I don't know where I'm going with this. Listen, my point being,
it's a good point.
ABC comedy.
Yeah, that was genuinely a sad attempt at comedy. I don't know. Look,
me.
No.
hey, I did have a show on ABC Comedy.
Did you?
Yeah, I did Virgin Bush.
Oh, yeah. But I don't look at that as like what. I'm thinking more about like Tonightly and stuff like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was genuinely sad.
I'm talking about the Demi Lardens of the world, who I saw getting an Uber the other day. I didn't hurl abuse. Going back.
I'm curious then, you look at this, the need for mainstream media. It's still in Australia. Do you think you guys have done anything differently as you sort of progressed? Would you sort of tried harder in going from mainstream media at all?
I think
or
you
just can't.
You lose your stance if you're on the telly, as far as a YouTube personality or comedian. You lose this sort of. Not saying that your show did.
Neil's like,
I'm just bagging Neel today.
I wrote a bull.
It was a good show. I watched it. I enjoyed it because I like you, not because it was on the ABC.
Yeah.
And I just think you lose this, and I'm more talking about not so much your show. I'm talking about like you go on the project and then you're this and you're that. And I think it's just, you need to just find your medium, stick with it and grow it. Like there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of people, YouTube channels get more views than the project on a weekly basis.
For sure. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just do it yourself?
Yeah, it's very empowering to be able to do it yourself, and for us to have that opportunity is we're at a very unique time in history.
Not to have a middleman.
I still wouldn't. I wouldn't completely. If opportunities in mainstream media come up, depending on whether or not I can do them while still having creative freedom online, I wouldn't be against doing them as such. But the more experience I have delving into mainstream media, they're two very separate worlds.
Yeah,
and you're not. There's a bit more notice being taken of social media influencers as such, but there's a complete disconnect between just how powerful a social media audience is. And, you get a lot of conversations with people who are in mainstream, the powers that be, if you will, sort of assuming that, oh, look, we're giving you the next big stepping stone in your career. You can be on a TV show now, you can be on a radio show now. And I still have to think about it like, well, is it really that much? But, how much more of an audience am I actually going to get from doing this?
You also are pursuing acting, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's where I differ. I just want to do stand-up.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean? So I guess it's a different kettle of fish between me and you with the whole mainstream thing. Like if you can get a mainstream acting job, you're laughing.
Yeah, I would definitely.
Of course.
I was on a Channel 10 show last year as well. It's called Street Smart.
Yeah,
one of the best shows of the year.
Indian Uber driver.
Yep.
No cliches
Just
there.
killing the stereotypes.
I also went for that role, didn't get it. It was a real show.
How do you guys view the differences in each style? How do you look at each other's style?
Okay. Extremely smart.
Okay.
Very knowledgeable. I don't know anything about politics. Well, I know enough to form a sort of opinion that's not retarded. Jordan is very smart, very educated. Neel, very articulate, very smart, very educated. Me, I am a jack of all trades.
You have the most followers.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I enjoy both of these guys for very different reasons. I really like Neel's stand-up.
Oh, thank you.
I look up to Neel as far as the way he performs and the jokes he writes.
Definitely doesn't look up to me physically.
No,
he's 6'8" and I'm 5'7".
I look down upon you very much so.
I'd categorize it as like, look, Isaac and me, we've got an argumentative style.
That's
It's kind of
where,
like, this
yeah.
is my opinion, this is why I'm right.
And I would 100% differentiate from you guys there.
Yeah, and I think Neil's is observational.
Very observational.
Neil's is not
and-
very confrontational
No,
comedy.
yeah, I'm not. There's very few videos where I'm actually myself. In fact, I'm myself
That's a good
in my
point.
stand-up, but in almost all my videos, I'm a character. I will put opinions in there and even sometimes be aggressive with those opinions, but it's always done through satire or through characters.
So you're more of a storyteller, whereas you guys are more of commentators, would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
I don't think I'm a storyteller either. I'm not really doing stories as such, but I'm an actor with a lot of my videos. Like they're short and sharp and they're impressive, but it's acting. I'm
But if you
doing,
look at Modern
essentially.
Education, you wrote that, right? It's a script. You know,
Yeah.
it's a story.
Yeah, it's a story. Yeah, but I just think
There's a whole setup. There's a punchline at the end. It's
But it's also social commentary at the same time.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have my opinions and I'm willing to put them out there.
of course, yeah.
But it's
But they're not hard
Subversive.
opinions.
Yeah,
It's not like, if you don't think this, fuck you. Like,
No,
which is
it's-
our shtick, I guess. Whereas like yours is kind of like, and if you don't think it, that's okay. You know, but, yeah, I'm just
We
glad
can all
we're
be
having this
friends.
conversation. You know?
non-confrontational guy.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Oh, fuck, that is funny.
That's why Jordan Peterson appeals to me. He's like, you need to find the animal within you.
And clean your room.
It's so hard to find it.
Oh, fuck. What about you, Jordan? What is it that you like about these guys and their work?
What I like about their work, Dude, first of all, it's just, look, it is engaging once you hear somebody's viewpoints on things. So with Isaac, for instance, it's kind of the same as like watching Bill Burr or Joe Rogan or something like that, where it's just like, something's happening today. I wonder what Isaac's spin on it is. You know, it keeps you coming back.
Agree with
It's a
that,
very addictive
100%.
formula, isn't it? That's what's really engaging about it. And then with Neel, I like how it's just kind of like, you know, you could put it on and then like you just be like, I feel comfortable now, and go to sleep. Like it's like that kind of like nice.
My content makes you go to sleep.
No, but it's got that like chill late night kind of feel to it of just being like, yeah, it's
a variety show.
That kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
okay,
think
I'll
that's
take it.
worked with your new stand-up show. Is that you've. God, that was a slack way to put it. But anyway, like, look, with your new stand-up show, I think that format suits you because it feels late night.
Right.
You know,
okay.
I think that you should be
interesting.
more moving for that kind of like really cool, relaxed Dave Chappelle sort of
The chill guy.
aesthetic, I guess, is the way to put it. What a wanky term to be
No,
like.
I
This is
do-
what you need to move into.
Even my stand-up, I'll have really strong opinions within my stand-up, but I never sort of go the route of like, I'm just going to aggressively tell these opinions. I sort of say, how can I, subversively do it through
That's
humor?
all I do.
Yeah. And there's nothing, no, but that's why I love those guys, because I learn a lot from them and I can, and I do agree with that observation. They're more the commentator types and they nail that. But that's just not me.
How would you guys impersonate each other's show? Like, I'd love to see like I wrote here on our notes, the friendly Jordification of Isaac Butterfield.
I've got his beard as well, as like in my repertoire of wigs. I've just
do
been
it.
fucking waiting for the
start-
day, mate.
We'll have a fake beef. It'll be great. Beautified cheese.
There should be more Australian YouTube.
I was going to
arguments.
start one. I'll tell you about it after the program. But
Oh, come on.
no.
Tell
No
us.
secrets here between guys that have just met 30 minutes ago. let's do this.
I can't. It involves someone.
Uh-oh.
Jeez, Isaac.
There's
Let's
probably
bring
like
the show
5
down.
people now listening to this thinking,
I'm
fuck, is
so
it me?
keen.
It ruins the narrative if I tell you now. It all comes out.
All right,
It'll
Come
be
on,
no
Isaac.
control.
Let it out.
It's
Give the
Neel.
people what they want.
It's Neel. You took that fucking Indian Uber driver off me, and I'm coming back for it. I want it back. No, it's. I think there should be
Diversity,
more.
man.
I think there should be more beef. I like it. I think people love drama. It takes it away from their life. They want to hear drama.
They want a bit of escape.
Yeah, they want it. They want something to go. They're fucking crazy, bro.
Do you,
And that's
do you
what they
think,
want.
Do you guys think that most of what you do is a form of escapism? Or is it more allowing people to say, yeah, I agree with that. That's what I thought. Like just that sort of echo chamber-ness that you can get.
Neel walks in and out of the camp, but we don't. I don't think ours is escapism a lot of the time. Isaac does delve into it with like, starting beefs with certain cultures or whatever. But I think in general, mostly what we're doing is actually discussing reality. It's that, yeah. It's just like, yep, you tell them that kind of attitude. I think Neil's is a bit different, but he moves into it.
I'm an enigma.
You're a chameleon, aren't you?
I'm a jack of all trades. Look at me.
Now,
next week I'll just do a podcast on mainstream media. I'll be on the project being like, oh, there's so much, so white male dominated, the YouTube industry.
You should. That is the role you should play.
And Neel, who's
I'll
your pick for the
anything
Melbourne
to
Cup?
get big.
Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you play that role and then just like do like a documentary on it?
The role of like the victim.
Your
kind of
rise to the top of the Australian comedy industry through playing a victim.
Come out, doco series.
Come out trans this afternoon and do it.
Like Shane Dawson style. Do you guys know Shane Dawson?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Do a Shane Dawson style mini doco series.
What did he?
He's done many things.
Okay,
but
I know he's a
the point
conspiracy
is
guy.
just do some conspiracy theory about the comedy scene in Australia.
And then rise to the top. If I did it.
What happened in the green room before this podcast? Who are they going to believe? The poor brown.
Or the bloke with
victim or
2% Norwegian blood in him.
Exactly.
50% English and Irish.
Oh, yeah.
You fucking colonizer, cunt. Something
Did
like
you
that.
just drop the first C-bomb of the podcast?
I think so.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I was paying pretty good odds to do that.
Fuck.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Now,
that was like a 10-1 bet, wasn't it?
Very professional.
Yeah. No one would have expected it from him.
Should have taken it.
I know you guys, I've all, spoken about your process in different ways on each episode now. I think some are more meticulous than others. I've heard from Josh that you're I don't know if it was Josh or someone else, that you would like recite shows the night before. But,
Yeah.
and you'll send text messages to yourself as you come up with bits along the way. So I'm curious how you guys, how do you view each other's style of process? Like how has your own changed in the last year or so?
To be honest, I'll say 2 years ago, I spent a week living with Jordan for a while. Man, I felt so bad about myself. That guy...
You should, Neel.
Yeah. He was so on point. Like, he's very meticulous and organized and conscientious with his style. And I was there like, oh, I'm going to smoke weed. Look at me. Like, I'm the hippie. And, man, that actually, man, that was like a real kick in the butt.
You want to watch Simpsons?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I actually said that.
Jordan just walks in there, like, book in one hand, peasant, just keeps walking through the room.
Yeah, literally. And I've treated it a lot more like a job. Like, I mean, it always was a job, but I've been a lot more organized with my process and really tried to get into a routine. It's hard to get into a routine sometimes with our careers because, we'll be doing shows here, we'll be traveling a lot and things like that.
It's so hard to motivate yourself when you know you have a show that day.
That's
It's kind of
the
just a
thing,
day
yeah.
that's written off.
And when you're
Because then when you were
working
just
for
like, how's
yourself-
your day been? I was like, I can't tell you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what happened. I was asleep and now I'm here.
100%. No, that's what I used to be like. But now this year in particular, I've really tried to, just be a lot more organized and write every day and get into it. I've never been one to commit to, I'm going to do weekly videos. I'm going to do this amount of videos this particular time. Because I do find if I'm not just commentating on particular issues, to churn out a certain quantity of content at a particular quality, I do find a bit more challenging with my kind of style. But I've definitely tried to commit to that a bit more this year and really just try to,
But what
just
about like,
focus a lot more.
how do you go about that recent video you made, which is fucking hilarious? It was, what was it? Australian politicians. It's like a simple.
Australian election impressions. Like going through my older style, I did another one, yeah.
Fuck, that is funny, man.
Oh, thank you.
I forwarded it to my sister, who's a bit of an SJW at times,
Yeah.
and even she found it funny.
Oh, good.
You've got everyone covered in that little clip.
I did. I made an effort to be like, I'm going to like tear apart everyone as equally as possible, including myself.
And like, yeah, you did in that. How do you like? What was the process there? Did you literally think, okay, I've got to do something for the election coming up? I'm going to go write this.
A little bit of that. I thought, yeah, I'll jump on not the bandwagon, but this is going to be relevant for the next couple of weeks. And at the same time, I do have particular opinions on some of those subsections of society. So it was a combination of me doing comedic impersonations, but also putting in a few like subversive opinions in there and going back to that really fast-paced, aggressive style that I think is very conducive to virality on the internet because it's just like bang, 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 impression after impression. And I moved away from that for about, the last couple of years, doing more of the long-form short films and stand-up. And you do see the likes tend to drop off a little bit. So I think I need to get back into that style a little bit more while still maintaining the other kind of things I do.
Interesting. So
I think you get in a rhythm though. Like with me, when I first started doing videos, I was like, how am I going to do a video a week, come up with something? And then I was like, how am I going to do 2 videos a week? And then for a while there, I was doing 3. Which I thought was maybe a little bit too much.
Man, your content, the amount you turn out is inspiring.
I don't know the format you've got is down. The format helps so much.
How you do
I've got a whole setup,
side to side to side.
It's
brilliant.
It just happens, and it's a lot of it's improvisation, a lot of it's writing, a lot of it's just putting the time in, sort of thing. But I think one of the keys to really moving forward online is accepting that whatever you put out will be forgotten about in a day. No one cares anymore.
So zen.
Yeah.
No one ever cares anymore. Like if you if you're the biggest diehard Buttsman fan in the entire world, I can't even remember what I did 2 weeks ago. They can't.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And it's just important to be there and commenting on things, talking about things, and people just want to see you. My favorite YouTubers, I just want to see them. I just want to see.
You want to see their take on it.
Yeah. What are they doing this week? What are they talking about? Oh yeah, I'll watch that, or maybe I won't watch that.
Do you know? I will search on YouTube now for certain people, depending on the topic or area, and I'll just type in obviously their name, that topic. I just want to get their opinion on that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like sometimes I'll watch. There'll be a video that's more relevant that's come out on my subscription list, and I'll watch it. But sometimes I'm just like,
It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
YouTubers and comics can play that role of like a priest back in the day, where people would go and say, "What do I do?" This is
Guide me.
They guide me. They do, because I do it with like podcasts I listen to. They give me the influence I need to make a decision in my life.
Yeah.
Which is weird and just scary. But you trust these people. And I think also when you watch a video and you go, "Oh, what do people think of this topic?" I always look at the like to dislike ratio before I finish the video. If it's a really like a high like ratio, I go, okay, I can trust this video.
That's a big one.
Because it's like the diffusion of responsibility is there, but it's also to the point where you can trust a large group of people by the way that they vote.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how are you deciding, like, the topic of the video that you make? Like, you think back to what I was doing just then. Surely there's a way of using like Google Analytics, not analytics, but Google Trends or something like that to discover a topic.
I've never done that.
You've never done it?
Never done that, but I probably could if I put more effort in. A lot of people send me stuff. A lot of stuff I just find online.
It just comes through osmosis, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It just turns up in somewhere in my life, and that's what I put the video on.
It's that zeitgeist feel.
Yeah.
That's if you want trending topics, it's that kind of thing of like, I haven't even looked this up, but I know it exists.
Yeah.
That's when you should do a video on that subject.
So your decision between doing a video about bogans versus the Liberal government is literally
Go
just
on. Now you've piqued my attention.
is literally just how you feel, right?
Perfect impersonation.
No, because I feel like I've got like a social responsibility now. So like I go out of my way to try and make sure that one video is ostensibly going to be a hit, which half the time, 3/4 of the time it's not, and then the other one is just like, this is something that the mainstream media is deliberately burying because their donors don't want you to know about it, but it really impacts your life. That's how I do my videos now. But like, that feeling, I think of like when there's something in the zeitgeist that people haven't really got like a really deep knowledge on, that that video is going to do well because everybody is having that feeling. It's almost look, I mean, you'll be cool with this with the Led Zeppelin shirt, but like it's like it's almost psychic. Don't you reckon? There's something that you can feel when everybody's brain is kind of like
on the same
connected on it. Yeah,
They connect.
Do you
It
guys
hasn't been spoken about in depth before, but then you're the guy that then comes out and
There's something. Yeah, there's this.
this is the truth behind
so
it.
you're looking for the bits that are there, but you watch a video and you're like, but why didn't you cover this? and that's the bit you grab onto.
I always grab onto that a lot, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, if look, the things that made Jerry Seinfeld huge, now I've done it. Everybody online, it's failed. But the thing that made him big was just that. Did you ever notice it? Do you say that all the time as well?
No, I enunciate correctly.
Oh, okay, right. You were thinking it in your head.
I was like,
daggers.
This is next week's video. It's like misgendering.
Don't start.
Jordan Shanks.
It was just he came up with that kind of format that is just, you know, it's been morphed a bit now, I guess, but it's that thing of just like, did you ever notice that? And that's when everybody starts like really honing in on it. I don't know, the thing of just being like, the thing that springs to mind is, you ever notice how people put their wallets in their shoes? How is a thief just not going to see it in the sole and move on? Like, and then you're like, oh, that is stupid. That's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. I think that's like the gold when I know, sometimes I get a feeling when I'm about to put out a video that this is going to be a big video, you know?
It's the new perspective that hasn't been articulated yet, but is agreed upon by the population.
Yes, yes.
Do you guys...
it's hard to find that. You just kind of have to be doing it That's the other reason why I think these guys are inevitably going to be better comedians than the ones that you see propped up on ABC Comedy Gala all the time, right? It's because they're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
So...
it's like the purest form of idea capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just by the sheer amount that they're pushing out, one of those things is going to click that zeitgeist.
And then they hone on that more and more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys feel that obligation as well to cover certain topics?
Yeah. Yeah, I get asked to cover a lot of topics. A lot of topics I won't cover just because they're just like, I just don't want to be deep in that. You know, like the whole, like a lot of conspiracy topics people are like, a lot of people
Flat Earth.
At the moment, there's a young man calling me out who has a certain disability that I won't comment on.
Okay.
It's just a lot of people have commented on him before, and I just don't want to. I don't want to take this young dude down a peg because of my, you know, sort of the way I present myself. I have to go and attack him. I'm not going to do that. But he's like quite large on social media. But that's not me. I'm not going to just go and attack some dude who obviously is trying to push his own way through the world, and this is how he sees other people doing it, and he's going to try and do it that way. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's not me.
That whole attack a personality
I like
thing
doing it.
Yeah, but
Don't get me wrong.
It's becoming just a way of clickbait.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's all
Like,
it is.
like there's examples of it where it's relevant. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the H3 podcast. There was a very well done, I guess it was like an hour and a half video that documented criticisms against them, which if you were a fan of H3, they'd become a bit annoying in certain aspects of what they were doing.
I saw that. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy's channel, but it was really well done. But after that was like the video in this new genre.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming like a thing where people just feel the need to attack people. You know, like, do you guys know?
Want to bring people down if they're too successful, but unworthy of that success? There's nothing people like more than those sorts of people being brought down.
Like, there's the obvious ones like trying to attack Jake Paul and that, and everyone's done that before. But I'm thinking about things like
kick a dead horse. Geez.
Yeah. Do you guys know Kyrgyzstan? It's like a sort of animation instructional channel. No? They had a video about how drug addiction, taking drugs or addiction is a chemical issue. And, you know, it was based on this research of a certain doctor. And apparently his work has been largely debunked now. And this journal is like, you know, classic former HuffPost journalist.
So they're saying it's a chemical issue as opposed to...
like a habitual type thing.
Right.
So apart from it being a psychological issue, you know, like the building of certain pathways through habits, they're saying it's actually a chemical issue where you might have to take a drug to deal with the imbalance. Right? So some people have depression that literally you can do nothing for them with counseling. They must take lithium, for example.
Right.
Lithium tablets.
Right.
So yeah, they had this whole thing, and Kyrgyzstan is massive channel, and the guy is a very, just like a unbeknown sort of guy who lives in the Czech Republic and sort of doesn't really make much money out of this thing, but like each video has got 10 to 12 million views. And this journalist had like attacked him through email and published this email thread that he had with him. But of course, he took out emails that were part of the thread, and it just turned into an absolute shit fight that made this guy look absolutely terrible. But I'm noticing more and more these sort of attack videos are becoming on trend.
It is quite trendy at the moment, isn't it?
You need to be careful what you do. Like I had a show I was doing in Perth. A vegan YouTuber came in, stormed in, and like got right up my face with a camera and all this type of stuff, and like tried to pull a Swiftie on me.
This isn't
that kind of stuff.
The banana girl, is it?
No.
Wouldn't that play into like if that was being recorded, for example, you could then make a video
100%.
about it,
But he never put it out.
Yeah, right.
He never put it out because the only thing I gave him, he said, "I demand you to apologise," and I said, "No, I think you're a fuckwit." To his face, and he was like,
I wanted to do a joke about that sort of stuff for so long.
Well, he was like in my face. He goes, "You want to go out the front?" And I was like, "No."
No, I want to have a
Who
beer.
would pick a fight with this guy?
He was bigger than me. He's huge.
How's that even possible?
He's huge, and he goes to me, "What do you have to say for yourself?" And I was such a smart ass. I looked at his camera. I said, "Like and subscribe, Isaac Butterfield." So he couldn't use any of the footage. It was great.
That's such a good call. Wow. Wow.
But
I've never understood the whole idea of demanding an apology. Doesn't that just take away the whole point of an apology? Isn't an apology a sort of personal reflection of guilt? And you realize, wow, I did do something wrong. I should apologize. Where if you're that's like when you tell kids, say sorry, and they're like, sorry, say it like you mean it.
Yeah, say it like you mean it. Don't do it again.
What have they learned from that?
I won't do it again.
That's
Yeah, it is a forced sort of medium there.
not a real apology.
No, it's about subjugation. It's not
It
about.
is.
It's not about like learning
It's about
something or
authority.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird thing, but that's sort of become part of that outrage culture that we have nowadays. Anyway, do you guys think there's like a certain flavor to bits or pieces of stand up or components that you've written at all? Like, can you identify anything that is key amongst any of them?
I think every comedian has their unique voice and their unique perspective. That's what attracts people to. I think that's what we were talking about before. You can see the comedian, not just in comedy, all the artists and musicians that are just trying to get big just by following trends completely. And don't get me wrong, every artist is going to take some form of inspiration from other people, but the ones that really build a long-lasting career are people who have really honed their unique perspective, and people just want to see that. So I do think, I think all of us would have our unique,
and that's
unique flavour to our content.
Completely agree. It's important to have your brand,
Without
lack of a
doubt.
better term, because without that, why would you buy it?
Yeah, what's your
Exactly.
unique value proposition?
And there's nothing grosser than watching someone who's clearly just a cheap imitation of someone else. It instantly turns you off that person.
Without a doubt.
So, and there's no coming back from that, I reckon, as well.
I think you learn it though. I've done videos in the past where I've just sort of thought, I just want to do this one for the views. And sometimes they do go quite well, but I just don't feel good. I never feel good about them. And when people are like, oh, I love that video, I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, no, stealing a format, go nuts.
No, no, not
but
even that.
Style. Oh, you're saying you stole someone's style?
No. I mean, videos that I'm... Filthy Frank. No,
I'm Neel Kolhatkar.
I'm
not happy.
G'day, guys. That's so good, yeah.
G'day, you.
G'day, cunnies. No.
Come on,
I would
next
really,
video.
really like to see all of you do an impersonation of each other.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it'd
man.
be quite funny.
Yeah. We could like put it all together as some super comp.
It'll
I'd be
be
down
funny.
for it. I reckon it'd be bad.
Can I do
I
brown
can
face?
I love
That's the
brown face.
question.
Like Jordan's impersonation is so well
I think that was
done.
lost by pretty much everyone in the room.
I don't think I could do brown face. I think that would go down badly.
Just get really, really tanned.
Could I do that with your permission?
Put on lots of tan.
Just like, Tahitian princess.
Bondi Sands. And say the video is sponsored by
Brought to
Bondi
you by-
Sands.
that would go down so badly. Even
Oh,
though,
come on. Everyone forgave the guys from Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you remember the brutal
That was like the first
face
time.
back of that? It was like,
That was like the
calm
first time
down.
someone had actually called it out, and everyone was just like, Yeah.
This
That's
isn't
not great.
great.
No, but that's
I'd love to. I can't. I'm not good at
because it
impressions.
wasn't actually that long ago when Chris Lilly was still doing that for Jonah from Tonga.
See, this is the whole thing. That's what I hate about the group think about it, right? It's just like those guys were impersonating Michael Jackson. There was nothing inherently abusive or malicious about it, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And it was the same thing with like, Jonah from Tonga or his black rapper. I can't remember what it was called. Smouse. S-Mouse. There's nothing wrong with that. It was just the elite of media.
Oh, drop the first N-word.
There was a lot wrong with
Well,
Smouse.
I mean, you're the only one that can.
I don't think I can. No, I don't.
Yeah, probably not. But if we said it, fuck.
No.
We'd all be fucked.
I'm not saying that. Christ.
I'll back myself out as impersonating
I'm
a Chris
calling you
Lilly
out,
song.
Neel. That's not cool.
There's so many words I can't say. I can't say anything without being called something. I'm racist, apparently. The internet is full of me being racist. It's just people
that's
calling
the
me
thing.
racist.
I don't think that's the general population actually saying those things. I think it's a vocal minority.
Yeah, it always is.
And by sort of giving into that and listening to it, I think you do have to sift through. There are certain criticisms that could be very valid, and you have to look at them, from an unbiased perspective and sort of say, okay, maybe I did go too far at that point. But in this day and age, I think a lot of that outrage is just someone from a different tribe, if you will, saying, I don't agree with what you're saying in this particular video, therefore I'm calling you this particular name to bring you down.
What's the strangest complaint you guys have had?
Oh, my hour and 20-minute show didn't go long enough.
Okay.
It's like, fuck off. It's a
Hour and
comedy
20
show.
minutes is a long
Yeah, I was on
time.
stage for nearly 90 minutes.
You'd be lucky to get an hour.
Go home.
I looked at
most
my
shows in Melbourne.
watch twice and I got a message saying, I just thought it was rude that you looked at your watch twice. It just felt like you didn't want to be there.
What the fuck? What, at
I
your
was
show?
looking because the comedy festival is so strict on time. And granted, when it's a bad show, there's nothing worse than performing to an audience that are just lackluster.
Yeah.
And I just
that
think,
laugh of like,
fuck these guys. And then I was just like, I just want to get to my time limit.
Yeah,
to be honest.
What's that like? Because I've been at a show, not Eddie O'Toole, but Eddie someone. This guy looks like a
Eddie
real...
Ift?
Eddie O'Beed.
I feel
Eddie
like
Izzard.
Eddie Ift. No, not Eddie Izzard. This guy's got like sort of long, oily-looking hair, and he's from the UK somewhere.
Eddie Perfect. Oh, from the UK.
Yeah,
I
I'd have to look at this afterwards, but I remember that was the worst fucking comedy show I've ever been to.
There's nothing worse than seeing bad comedy.
Shy.
It was just not funny. Just not funny, and no one was having a bar
so
of it.
awkward.
It was just like...
At least with music, there's some sort of a rhythm or there's some semblance of artistic value that you can at least enjoy. Comedy, if it's not going well, it is the most brutal thing imaginable. It's
And
just
so what is
awkward
that
for
like
everyone.
for you guys on the other side? Like, for us as an audience, you feel bad, but for the person?
I wouldn't know. I've never
Not in a
never
way
had a
bad.
I was going to say that too.
jumped in with that one.
Hey.
No, I've had one or two. The third gig I ever did, I won this class clowns competition when I was 15, and there was this talent show at this drama school I was at, and they were like, "Oh, do some stand up," and the entire audience. There was a church next door. It was all old people from the church next door, and I had to follow a 4-year-old playing the flute. And I came out there with, I'm thinking like an idiot. Oh, they're all Christian. I'll do some Christian jokes. And not even that bad. Well, in my mind, not even that bad. It was just like stupid stuff like, oh, how come you haven't named your God and all the other religions have named your God? And then I'd just like make up all these ridiculous names and stuff like that. And it just died completely. The host had to apologize after. I was 15.
Oh, wow.
This was so brutal. And I also look back, I'm like, man, I was edgy for a 15-year-old. Look at me. And that was just horrendous. You just want to go home.
What about you, Jordan?
When you die,
Yeah. Have you
think this
ever died really bad?
so many times.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think the reason that you can tell that we kind of were going to make it, I guess, is because we all have that response when we do die on stage of just being like, no, it's your fault. I'm funny. No, everyone in this room is wrong
I say
except
that.
me.
I say
And so-
that on stage. When a
me
joke
too.
bombs, I go, that's
Yeah.
your fault. That's a good joke.
Yeah.
I said it the other night. I had a crowd that was
It's
just
so
not so into it. I was like,
arrogant,
And what do they do? Laugh?
they're like, I was like, no, that's funny. It's your fault. Last night, that killed. They got an applause break and you didn't
without
even
a doubt,
giggle.
yeah.
Get over yourselves. I said that the other night.
That's the worst. Oh, when you know the joke is good and you know it gets laughs consistently, and then one audience one night is like,
Really? So
and you're like,
there's quite a bit of
fuck off.
I think a lot of the time it actually is like our fault.
It can be. That's
I
the
think
other
like
thing.
you just poorly delivered the
That's
joke.
the other
you
thing.
know?
You got to actually look at yourself and say, all right, was that my delivery? Did I do the best just take personal responsibility? Was I in the best state of mind before the show? Was I confident on stage? How did I prepare? But then if you've done all that and then this joke still doesn't go well, then yeah, you're
And you
allowed
can just
to
have
say,
a bad gig.
the
Like,
audience,
these happen.
What the hell?
Sometimes the crowd just doesn't work. You don't work. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you're whatever.
So,
Yeah, without it.
You know, like I've had terrible. I had a gig on a bus once. I did a
What, a party bus?
No, there was my old man was assistant coach for the New South Wales City team in rugby league.
Okay.
Ooh.
And he was like, this was when I was first starting my first year of stand up, and he was like,
Oh, what, like the actual city versus country?
City versus country
Oh,
team.
mad.
So I went down, and Brad Fittler's on the bus, and all the players, all the big names in the league, and they go, oh, Isaac is just he's just started comedy, and he's going to get up and do a quick set for us. And they're all blind drunk, and
Fuck.
so they give me the microphone, which is a bus driver's microphone, which is square with a little curly cable that only stretches about 5 meters. And so I start
Quality.
doing jokes, and
G'day,
it's
you good mothers.
terrible. And like big David Clemmer, who's the front row for New South Wales, he's like, "You're fucking shit." And I was like, so I just ended up just bashing into them. I was like, "Fuck you, baldy," so and so.
And did they like that?
Yeah, they love
Yeah,
it.
they love
So I
abuse.
just started.
They love
So it was
abuse.
actually a good. One of the players he used to play for Canberra, and he said that was the best bus trip I've ever had. So that was good. But then they started all chanting in
He's
true,
from Canberra, though.
in true rugby league style. They all started chanting, "Get your dick out, get your dick out, get your dick out." And I was
And
dying
did
at
you
this
do
stage.
it?
Absolutely, I got my
Fuck
dick
yeah,
out.
that's what you're
I
supposed
got
to
a
do.
round of applause. That was it.
boy, Isaac.
But it was tough.
Good
man.
on you.
Now, have,
Round of applause. Yeah.
It was such an NRL thing. You penis. I saw his penis.
Why are we the comedians?
understand
Those
that
guys,
mentality.
God. No wonder the footy show was so successful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? It was just 20 years of just
man.
like, you can see his balls if you freeze framed it. Yeah, there it is.
Eat a chili. See me penis. Yeah.
have you ever had to
Gold.
get your dick out again?
Gold.
Just
Just
like
that.
in life or on stage?
No, for a show.
No, not since. I've taken my shirt off.
Just wear
I've-
nappies.
Just, yeah. I make sure I cover it up now. I've been sexually assaulted in meet and greet lines. I've had my bum pinched and a woman grabbed me on the penis.
So
Really?
have I.
Really?
Yeah, I've had girls like,
Yeah,
oh,
drunk chicks get
like,
touchy.
I'm not surprised, though.
Like 40-year-old cougars are
Oh,
just,
yeah.
they do not
Oh,
give a
they're
fuck.
so
They're never
hungry.
good sorts.
They've had a few G&Ts and they're like,
Yeah,
So you
you need a meal with
what
it.
is this Chippendale bow tie dance?
Yeah.
Chippendale. Fuck.
Man, I don't want to be the guy that's like, it's reverse sexism, but man, they will actually grab your junk.
Yeah, but the difference is as a guy, you don't care. You're like, well, that's nice.
True.
Yeah. I cared a little.
Depends on the
Still a bit-
situation.
it's a bit weird.
I remember working in hospo. I used to do for punishment. They used to put me into
Grab you on the dick.
on hand.
Wow.
You were late to work. Come here.
hospo was
No,
this?
hey. No, we had like a private dining room, and they'd have hens nights there,
Oh, God.
and it was a set meal, drinks, everything, and they would get absolutely fucking plastered. And by the end of the night, my ass was being pinched on every round that I went round, and people, they'd be like, "Oh, we're going to Spice Temple tonight. You want to join us?" So,
That's exactly how they talk as
Yeah.
well.
so I know
Which
how
is
it
very
feels.
croaky. What point in their life does the voice become croaky?
15.
Yeah.
Some lady said,
Too many cruises.
But Spice Temple, that's the cliche place to go.
Is
Oh,
it?
isn't it Spice Market?
Spice Market, sorry. Spice
I'm-
Temple's
clearly
the
I'm a
restaurant.
veteran there.
There's a lady last night, just mad cougar, asked me, "Do you want to be my date to a rock and jazz club tomorrow night?" I was like, no, not even slightly. Thank you.
What does your
Bye.
partner think of this? Do you tell her this stuff?
Yeah, she's always there. She watches. She thinks it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
She's just like, this is gross. But I keep her out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that sort of stuff? Like, if you try to, as you've sort of become more well-known, you try and keep your family
Absolutely.
completely
Because
disassociated?
people can use that to get to you.
Okay.
I want less
Yeah.
things to be able to be out in the open for me as a weakling, so to speak.
When did you realize you should do that? Like, did you think that from the
I
beginning?
thought that before I started doing YouTube because I used to comment on Junkies' Facebook page. And I used to just talk mad shit on there to feminists. It was great fun. It's what I used to do at work. And one of them contacted my partner and was like, "You're with a sexist and a racist and all this type of stuff. You should be ashamed of yourself, yada, yada, yada."
Yeah, that's really kicking the beehive, though, isn't it?
Oh, I used to love it. It was
Shit
great.
staring.
It was great.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing more fun than that. Straight in the belly's beast.
You should make more junkie videos,
Oh, yeah.
please.
More Vice
If
stuff.
only they were more well known, but the main thing afterwards is always just like, what's junkie? And it's just like, well, I don't know who's missing out, you or me. Like, is it better to not know or is it better to know?
You could pick on Mamma Mia a bit.
Oh,
Much of the
gold,
muchness.
gold. Yeah. Junkie for boomers. Mad.
Gross.
How seedy is
Gross.
that? Look, the thing is, I'm in a different boat because my girlfriend's trying to get famous, so she's just leeching off my fame. I'm rice scum at this moment.
What
man.
does she do?
She's an actor. She's actually pretty good for someone who just went from the suit world and then one day decided like punching in numbers for like Ute toolboxes isn't fun. She just went straight into acting.
Oh, cool.
She's doing well.
Good on her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm really proud of her. I feel like I'm not going to say anything negative about my girlfriend, clearly, but like, I think, so for me, it's like a little bit different. But on top of that, I think that, like in general, I think like girlfriends, I think they kind of help you out. They give you that family man vibe. So use them as a prop. That's what I'm saying, Isaac.
If one person
You're
can
thinking
trust
this
him,
wrong.
So you're looking at it from a political strategy point of view. You've got to be married.
Exactly, yeah.
Got to be Christian.
Wow.
She's multicultural. Everything's all the box ticks,
What about you now? Just try and keep family out of it.
I'll more recently I've been posting a few more. I always kept my social media just career and just this is business. But more recently I have been posting a few more personal photos on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Post a few like family photos and things like that, and I think people like that. And
They do.
I don't think. Look, if someone really wanted to
Dox,
they would be able to do that anyway. I mean, I don't think my real name is just my social media name. It's not like I'm hidden from the public eye in that sense. So I don't think posting photos of my family and that, I would be wary. I wouldn't like put too much information out there, but I don't think posting photos of family and things like that is in any way gonna.
What do you
Work
think?
for
Gonna
Nat
harm his way.
Tran. That's the only reason that's all she does now, right?
Really? Okay.
What has she done for the last 2 years? Just posted up being like, "This is my Nath." That's it.
Right. Okay. I don't really.
Hundreds
I
of
don't even know who
thousands
that
of
is.
likes. Nat Tran.
She's like the original one of the. For a while, I think she was the biggest YouTuber in.
I was supposed to do a Hungry Jack's top 10.
early.
G'day, you good mothers. Double whopper, yeah?
Double Whopper, and me girl Nat Tran.
You know what always makes me laugh whenever I think of Hungry Jack's is that really early video you did, how you're like, Burger King's coming to Australia, or bloody Yanks coming in here, taking our jobs, or what if we called it Hungry Jack's? And then you're like, I got the double whopper tattooed onto my back.
That was recent.
Stunner value meal.
Yeah.
And I still want that tat.
Every time I see Hungry Jack's, I think of that.
Important question. What is your cheapo takeaway of choice? Not takeaway, but what is your burger joint? Is it Macca's,
Betty's Burgers down the road.
KFC? Is it Hungry Jack's?
I know
Which
Neil's.
one is it?
I know Neil's.
Or is it Red Rooster?
What's mine?
And
No,
I
you
want
gotta
I want the story why when you made the decision
mate.
to repeatedly go back to that place. Why did that become your place?
I like the Works Burger from the Fish Show.
Okay.
That's my fave
Yep.
because it's
No, that
made.
doesn't count. It's only one. It's not a chain.
It's got to be a mainstream chain.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking sorry.
Well,
all right.
If we're talking
Come back
about
to me.
This is the second strike, Isaac. You
I need to
fucked up
vote off
twice
the
here,
island in a
haven't you?
minute.
calling Isaac out, misinformation, make a whole
Butterfield.
Friendlyjordies
Destroys Isaac
Yes, the
Butterfield.
destroys
Burger
tags.
Burger.
He doesn't even know what a chain restaurant is. What a fucking loser.
Oh fuck! All right.
Man.
Do you want to go or do you want to think about
Well,
it?
I found Betty's Burgers in Melbourne. Do you know is Betty's Burgers enough of a chain?
No, it's got to be a chain.
Oh, for
Absolutely
fuck's sake.
not.
Of course, there's two.
All right,
You're dead.
he definitely.
I know
He
what
definitely
his is.
knows. What's yours?
Dude, Red Rooster.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is
How
it?
can
What's
you go?
It is
what's
nice. They're not around enough.
No, have you seen this? I don't know if you know about this. There's something called the Great Divide in Western Sydney, and you can look at it on a map, and as soon as Red Rooster kicks in, it is this line that separates west from east in Sydney.
You see a Red Rooster, you've gone too far.
It is. It is a warning mechanism.
Turn around now.
Where subways and just
Fuck the wall made of ice. It's the wall made of Red Rooster. Oh, shit.
oh wow.
So yeah, look, honestly, I've always
I'm not
said
that
this:
far west.
bogans know good food. I've always thought this: Red Rooster, really sugary Chinese. They've got it down pat.
Chinese.
There's nothing wrong with a double quarter pounder either. I'll use that.
I love a
McOz?
good McDonald's.
You say McOz.
Okay, I was wrong.
Well,
I
what
was
did you
wrong.
think mine-
I thought yours was KFC, but maybe I was just enforcing that on you, just being like KFC. Anyone? And just like, okay.
I don't
Racist.
think I. Is that
It's racist.
that's a black thing, not a brown. What's the
Very,
bra- the,
very
The
racist.
brown. I don't know. Just
Lentil
Red Rooster.
burger.
takeaway.
Red Rooster.
We're working
Lots
at
of
the
Indian-
fast food joints.
Lots
Yeah.
of yeah,
We're
but a lot. I worked this out the other day. I said this to Lauren. It's like there's a lot of Indian guys that love going to Red Rooster. I just notice this every time I go past Red Rooster.
Really?
Owned by lots of Indian guys, and I reckon it's because it's Western food, but it's got a bit of kick to it.
I
Like
don't-
gives you sort of a bit of nostalgia for.
I don't
for
see
home
colour.
or-
I don't see
Oh,
colour,
shut
but
up.
I have noticed that as well.
I love the idea of like a brown man biting into a what is it called?
No,
like the
a chicken,
the
like a quarter chicken or something.
What's that big roll they have at Red Rooster?
yeah,
Yeah, Red
Gravy roll.
Rooster Chico roll.
Yeah, the chicken being like, "Oh, this reminds me of the homeland, man." Like,
no, but
Fuck, that one that's just bread, chicken, and mayonnaise. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But Red Rooster,
You have to be
man.
just a truck driver. No one else has ever had that.
Yeah.
Red Rooster was my joint just because there was
Yeah?
one down the road from me. And it was that chicken roll, like the chicken sub. And it was sort of like square pieces of diced chicken or something with mayo and
Oh,
lettuce.
It's giving me nightmares.
Ooh.
Okay,
and
so do you have
with some chips and a vanilla Coke.
Oh.
Always a vanilla Coke.
King?
vanilla Coke.
The man
is
knows his
amazing.
Coke.
What
It's
about
so good.
What about you, Neil?
McDonald's, man.
McDonald's?
Can't go past McDonald's. Does Subway count? Probably not.
Yeah.
Meatball sub's pretty good.
Not-
Meatball-
yeah.
No,
meatball
what are you
sub.
talking about? Subways. It's like, isn't there more Subways than McDonald's?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they
is
can just
McDonald's
cram them
losing
in
money
anyway.
or
There's probably a
something? I
Subway
heard-
in this corner
Nah,
of the room.
dude. Nah. Have you ever seen The Founder or read The Founder? McDonald's is making money. The franchisees probably not.
Right.
It's all about real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was a great movie. By
my
the way.
dad
haven't
loves
seen
that
it.
shit
Gotta-
because he loves
gotta
real
watch that.
estate. He's like, "Oh, Jordan, have you seen The Founder? It's all about fucking real estate, houses, real estate, houses."
Well, so yeah,
Sounds like a boomer.
What an interesting
Sounds
topic.
like a boomer for sure.
They just have dreams of real estate.
Yeah,
Now swinging back to you, Isaac. Have you got a
Hey.
chain?
Yeah, Macca's.
Okay.
he
What's
didn't think about it. He
Yeah.
just
Don't give a
copied
shit.
down the answer.
Hey,
what's
you know-
the meal? What's the meal though?
Mate, every
Ooh.
morning I go and get a little latte.
Okay.
Do you?
From a cafe.
I drop the missus at work and I get a latte. We get a latte
Wow.
From a
not-
cafe.
That's really romantic. I like. That's a really sweet thought.
Yeah. You read the paper together.
together. Who reads the paper?
I don't know. Old couples.
Freaks. No, we go and get that. If I'm feeling a bit naughty after a night out, maybe a double quarter pounder just to soak up all the shit
Ooh.
in your body. But that's not bad.
I actually had an Angus burger last night.
Last night.
Yeah.
After
at
landing
the
here?
airport. No, at the airport. It was delayed by an hour. I thought I'll get an Angus.
Fuck.
They have Macca's at Melbourne Airport.
You can go wrong with an Angus, can't you? Sometimes you open it, it's just the raw pink in
Oh,
the centre
really?
of it. You had that?
No,
Oh, really?
You don't like a pink burger?
not from Macca's.
I'm not French.
Not from Macca's.
talking.
Maybe at like a fine dining restaurant, we're just like, oh, here's your burger, sir. But at
I would not
Macca's,
trust an uncooked
when it's just some teenagers,
patty.
that'll do.
I don't mind
Just a
it.
cow hoof. There you go.
Yeah,
You don't know what it is.
80% chemicals and like
Has
20%
anyone
beef.
here worked at those takeaway joints. I worked at Hungry Jack's for about a year or so.
I worked at Lowe's.
Holy shit.
I worked on the broiler for about 6 months.
What is a broiler?
A broiler is a special machine that cooks your fucking burger meat.
Gross.
So they come out as cakes. They're sort of like this, just obviously not a square. And you layer them on this like that, but a smaller version. And you put them on, and they're literally that hard. You could snap it over someone's head and it wouldn't break.
Wow.
So they're frozen.
Oh my God.
And they got all sorts of, like, if you look on they come in boxes as well. So they're sitting in cardboard boxes. There's no plastic or paper packaging. It's just straight in. There's like a layer of other cardboard, but it's all just cardboard.
Oh, can you throw a bit of Glad wrap in there, champ?
Exactly.
It's gross.
And then you put them
yuck.
onto the conveyor belt and they come out like the actual fucking burger. So it's rehydrated like meat. So they're like snap frozen to preserve. And I tell you what,
man.
you will never ever go back to any of those joints unless you're absolutely fuck-eyed.
Man,
Once you've worked with them.
I hear
Brutes.
so many stories about how disgusting the process is at these fast food joints, and I'm like,
It's horrible. And the wage is
I'll still
horrendous.
go
I
in
was
there.
like 15. I got paid $6.30 an hour.
Gross.
I got loading after 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. at 30 cents an hour. That was pretty wild.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'd finish work at 1 a.m. and I have to ride home down the Pean Highway.
right, what, like on a
Stinking
bike?
like McDonald's because my dad was like, "No, I'm not picking you up. Ride home."
On a bike?
Yeah.
On a highway?
A highway, not a freeway.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all right then. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. But still. Well, there's a bike
It is
path.
the lowest point of your
That's
life,
that's
isn't
as
it?
slave labour
Yeah,
as you can
particularly
get.
when you get a call at about 11:30 that you've missed from like someone from the cool gang at school telling you about a party that's on, and you're slowly getting invited to these parties in like year 9 or 10, and that was definitely in my teen years. That was a definite low light.
At least you get free
Damn.
burgers.
With my dad's old flip Motorola phone.
But you learnt the value of hard work.
I did.
and
I
Macca's
did.
looks good on a resume,
Yeah.
apparently.
Well,
If you're
I don't
going
know.
for a job at another fast food.
I can't even remember what I did after that, to be honest. I think I actually worked at a cafe.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was pretty low. I like pretty much did this straight out of high school and did not.
Really?
I was a swimming teacher for a while.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I got a kid nearly drowned. That's right. God, they can get fired, but they stopped giving me shifts, which is fair. It wasn't my fault. I turned around and a kid was crying, and I'm like, I swam over, I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, this other kid tried to drown me, and I told that kid to get out of the pool, but they were like, you should have. That was your responsibility. You should have been supervising. And fair enough, it was, and luckily nothing.
I worked at Lowe's. That was
happened.
my first job.
Lowe's.
Ah, nice.
Yep.
There's a Lowe's here?
In where? In Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Lowe's. At Lowe's. The clothes shop.
so
Isn't
many.
Lowe's an Australian?
But maybe
Brand?
they're just not in Victoria. I've
Oh.
never seen a Lowe's here.
Well, that'd
anyway.
explain why it was always footy players that were advertising it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That was
Maybe
the
it's a New
height
South Wales
of
thing.
shit
So hang on,
TV ads from the
what
90s,
what
wasn't
does
it?
Lowe's predominantly sell in
Like
New South
workwear, cheap suits.
Such cheap
for
suits.
blokes. It's just
Blokes.
Yeah,
Clothes for blokes.
so I grew up in Bentley, which is sort of a suburb where you buy that shit, and the go-to place was Target.
Yeah. Well, if you need
No,
like
that's
a,
fancy
like hard,
stuff,
hard
right?
yakka.
yeah. If you
all
need
that stuff.
work
Like
Target
clothes,
only blokes.
If you need a suit for your domestic violence case,
So true.
go to Lowe's.
True.
Okay.
They should have
LOWE.
started it with that. shouldn't they?
LOWE.
Got an
What a good
appointment for court.
I have never seen one here.
best advertising campaign ever.
Moorabbin, Bentley, Hyatt. That was where I grew up. I've never seen one. And if it was here in Victoria, it would definitely be in Southland.
I had an old man
Wow.
yell at me because I refused to measure his inseam of his pants. He's like, dude, this is a Lowe's suit. They're made out of China in bulk. If you're an extra large, it'll fit you. If not,
What a pseudo-intellectual.
it's just ridiculous. Just get large. Or go somewhere and spend more than $50 on a pair of pants. You fucking loser.
Oh, fuck.
Made me sick.
What about you? Where did you work?
I worked at Target.
Okay.
Fancy Lowe's. Yeah, but I barely worked. They just put me on as a receptionist, and there was this mum that was going through some marital breakdown. And so basically I was paid to be like this really cheap counsellor where she'd just be like, and he's just never home. I think he's having an affair. And I'd just be sitting there being like, dude, I'm 14. Like, what do you want me to say?
What do you want me to say, miss? Do you want me to help you find somewhere at home with?
And then they put me onto the cash register because they noticed that I'm not doing any work at all. And then I just thought, no, this is not for me. And then, like, yeah, then it's just like I got picked up as a model and just like traveled around the world and drank vodka from rich Chinese businessmen when I had sex with Russian models.
Sounds awful.
Some of the stories you've told me.
Nightmarish, isn't it?
Man.
Okay.
Gross. You want to fuck again? All right. Okay, we fuck again, then I leave. Okay. So yeah, bye.
This has got me thinking about like
It's a documentary of my life.
Can I just make a point? Like, how crazy is that like these old businessmen will spend so much of their money to like fuck these 19-year-old models when like some footy player who's 20 could just do the same thing on a Friday night.
Yeah, with like 50 of his mates.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, definitely do it. It's pathetic. Like, because you can tell when you meet these men, it's just like they've got in their head that it's just being like, if I'm a really successful banker, then someone will fuck me. And it's just like, dude, how about you learn to interact with people? How about that?
Yeah, I feel like Joe Rogan was talking about this recently.
Man.
Like with the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. Like so many of those guys have just their way of getting attractive women. Their social capital is not obviously being attractive because they look like a nutsack. It's being very successful.
Yeah.
He does look like a nutsack, man.
It does. Like
But some chicks are into that. They not nutsacks, but they're into the whole thing where power and money is attractive
yeah.
for a lot of women.
Oh, yeah. And it can definitely help, but it's not going to get you over the line. You need to also be an
decent
attractive person.
Yeah, like, and the women we're talking about here that are attracted to that is what we loosely refer to as people from the third world that just need a visa. That's pretty much what it is, right? That was the same thing that was happening in
There's a lot
Singapore.
of North Shore girls that would be into the
Would fuck
success and
Harvey
money.
Weinstein. You
Yeah.
I reckon, yeah.
reckon? I thought they'd be down for the footy player for sure.
Well, yeah, they would be too.
They're just down for cum.
Famous or powerful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Can I get more Insta followers from fucking you? Maybe. Okay, I'll think about it.
Shit. Isaac Butterfield claims that all Insta women are whores.
I don't-
That's the.
I don't claim that.
I know, but that's going to be the headline.
Do it.
That'll be the headline.
Put it in the paper. Put me in the paper for something. Fucking hell.
I was thinking before when we were talking about the jobs, the business of comedy. How do you describe it to people? How do you look at it now versus what it was a few years ago when you're first cutting it out?
It's an accumulation. It's a combination of so many different professions into one because you're marketing. You're doing a lot of marketing. You're running a small business, so you're a manager, and you're an artist because that's really what it should be. You're first and foremost known for your art, but that's only half the battle. You've got to get your art out there, and you've got to be able to market it and advertise it and organize it all. And yeah, there's a lot. I think there's
It's
a
a
lot
weird
involved.
game.
Yeah.
It's a very weird game. It's a weird thing to do because you're always on holidays.
But you're also
That
not.
is weird.
That's such a
this
but you're
weird
also not.
mesh.
Yeah.
Because
It's like,
I've never had a day where I'm like, I'm looking forward to a day off. Like I never have days off
There's
because I always
always
have
something to
days
do.
on.
Yeah.
basically
Does that make you anxious
a
at all?
cashed
Yeah.
up doll
I'm a
bludger.
freak. Yeah,
That's
you
what
are.
you are, yeah.
You're like really, you've got a very successful job, but you don't.
Yeah, I'm glad
It
I'm
doesn't
not.
exist.
I'm not the only one who feels like because I feel like like even this week I don't have a day free, and it's just like, am I weird? Am I unusual like that?
But I think we're lucky with stand-up because you can have the physical results of your job put forward in front of you. If I was just a YouTuber and sure I get paid and I get good views or whatever, I think it would be a lot more of a harder concept for your brain to wrap around because you're only seeing numbers on a screen. You're not actually seeing people. You're not going out and doing anything. It's just all happening in front of you on a computer. I think that would be a harder thing for me to deal with rather than actually getting out and experiencing a crowd or experiencing people coming up and nice to meet you and photos and shit like that. It's just a weird little thing.
What do you think's the easiest part to monetize? Is it just you've got to do shows and that's it?
It was like music, yeah.
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 That's where you make your money. Is
So you make no money online, maybe a little bit in merch.
No, I make
Well, if
money
you're like
from
an
monetization.
American, yeah, like you make money from monetization, but like that serious Jake Paul mansion money.
Yeah.
You know, like
But that's
in
all
Australia,
that's
that's
all
not
merch
happening.
money though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
If you have a global audience online and you can churn out very regular content, there is a massive amount of money to be made.
Yeah.
Like PewDiePie. He wouldn't need to do any live shows. He's just killing it with just the AdSense, but also
he's got his
you get
game.
product placements and games, and there's a whole business.
Chair. How true is that? It's just like Krusty started selling home pregnancy tests. It was just like your face is on everything, isn't it?
Well, he's got he's got literally his kit there and then a link. So he's getting probably commissions based on that as well.
Yeah,
He's making so much money.
Yeah, good on him.
It's great.
You know what I've got on at the bottom of my playlist at the moment on repeat is fucking PewDiePie's 2 songs, Bro Fist and his new one, Congratulations, which is like a diss track of T-Series. You can't hate the guy. How could you honestly hate the guy? He's such a genuinely nice individual, all positivity. No negativity at all.
He's authentic.
He's authentic.
There are personalities that are staying true to themselves. Even if you disagree with that or with what they're putting out there, you have to appreciate authenticity.
Yeah.
And with PewDiePie, he's 100%. There is nothing there where he's being influenced by someone else or anything like that. That's all him.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a fuck.
And you have to applaud that, I think.
So it's all about those shows.
Oh, it
not
depends.
all,
It's not
but-
all about it. Like this is me doing YouTube was a means to an end. I did YouTube because I wanted to be successful at stand-up. And a lot of people do it the other way around.
Yeah.
I found that that's also the big reason I did YouTube was to be successful at stand-up and to hopefully use that as a springboard into acting. But now, the world we live in, you can't ever stop I found that this out the hard way. I think over the last 2-3 years, the amount of content I was creating definitely went down, and I thought I've posted enough stand-up. People know me as a stand-up now, but it doesn't work that way. The YouTube actually has to be the base,
100%.
and it's just the medium now. Because I used to get caught up in I don't want to be a YouTuber, all that crap, but it's literally just a medium. In the same way, television. There's not such thing as a television star. It's just different actors, different presenters, journalists who are on television, using television as the medium, and that's all YouTube. That's not even YouTube. That's all the internet is really. It's the medium for you to illustrate your work and your art.
And how much how much of your own audiences are local versus international? What percentage?
Mine's 85% Australian,
Really?
which is quite big.
I would have thought you'd have more like of an American audience.
No. Well, my business plan was I'd make stuff about Newcastle, where I'm from, which I did. I made 2 viral videos about Newcastle. And then I'd make stuff about New South Wales. So I my viral video about the Blues.
Man,
Yeah.
And then Australia. So next is the step overseas.
That's how you do it. Yeah, it's the exact same thing, man. I started making videos at the end of high school about Cogra. About like my local area. Yeah, Cog Dog. And I'd specifically try to get people into those videos. Because one, not pranking, but that sort of, like public pranking was kind of big back then. So I'd do characters that would pretend to go out and do pranks and things like that. And the more people you could get into it, their friends would then tag them, be like, oh, you're in this video, and slowly build that. And then, it was all just, as I'm sure you all know, it was like Aussie videos, Aussie this, Australian this in 2 minutes, Australia that in 2 minutes. But then for the last literally couple of years, I've been like, I want a global audience, and it's a lot harder.
Is it?
It's hard to crack.
It's hard, man. I've been asked. It is hard. I've improved a lot. Like I think now over 100,000 of my subscribers are American, which is I'm pretty proud of that. But when you look at the population of America, 100,000 dispersed over all those cities. It's still not enough to do a tour or anything like that yet, because you don't know, you need at least like 1,000 in one city to hope to get, 100 to 200 to a show. So it's a tough thing, man, to crack the global markets.
And a lot of people like what you did with you sort of slowed down with content. A lot of YouTubers get to the point where they're like, okay, I've got this many followers, it's time to do something else. Whereas I think it is as you said, the complete opposite reaction needs to happen. You need to double down and do more.
Yeah.
Go even harder.
That is now what you're doing to grow your brand.
Absolutely.
And brand's a cunny word to say, but
It's a brand though.
It's what it is. It's you.
Yeah.
You need to grow you. You need to be so saturated throughout the market that people just go, as we said before, you want to know what someone has to say about one particular subject, and you know that you'll have a reaction, or you're going to know that every single Sunday night Neel's going to have a new sketch up, or every second Sunday night or whatever. You know, that Neel's going to have something there, and it's going to be something that I can rely on. It's like with Rogan's podcast. I can rely on him to have a podcast up every couple of days, and I'm going to be able to listen to it.
And you find it interesting.
And I find it interesting because I trust him. It comes down to trust. It's like with any other brand. You trust that brand, you go back to that brand, and you know it's the same with comedy shows. You know Neel's going to be good, I'm going to spend my money, and it's not going to be wasted.
What about you? How big, like I'd assume your audience would be even bigger, like almost 100% Australian.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Some people in New Zealand be like, to talk about New Zealand. No. Sorry.
I don't give a fuck.
Not happening. Yeah, it's all Australian. And I have no aspiration of making a global audience either. I basically I just want influence in Australia. That's it.
More and more influence.
More and more influence here, because I think that what
That's
I'm
good.
doing, there's a lot of people that are doing that in America anyway. And it's just like, dude, as if it affects me at all. It's just being like, oh no, Bernie didn't make it in the primary and stuff. It's just like, that's not my country. Like, I don't give a shit.
That's a good point. Yeah,
so if
there wouldn't be but like the authenticity. If there's an Aussie guy commenting on American political policy, it'll be a lot harder to build up that
that's
rapport.
the thing. Actually, when I watch Jim Jeffries, for instance, I'm just like, can you fuck off? Like, you're not from there. What are you doing? Like, why are you commenting about American politics? I don't get it. Like, it
could be good to have an outside perspective.
Yeah,
from
sometimes
you.
when you can
Maybe.
have the outside perspective, as long as you're then commenting as an outsider.
Yeah,
not,
so long
not
as it's
sort of
known.
saying, if you go in there saying, I'm an expert on this, this is my field of expertise, I'm going to have the exact points to talk about. No, then people will be like, oh, what are you talking about? But with Jim, I feel like, now his talk show, I don't know, but when he did that gun bit, for example, it was
on point.
an outsider's perspective coming in.
You're right.
It was very well done.
Yep.
But also, Jim's a comic. You're a comic as well, but you're also well educated in that space. You know, you're not just coming up to him from some dude from Adelaide. You're coming to it as a point of, you studied politics, right? So I think
It's a little more analytical.
I would rely upon, in the next election in America, I would rely upon what you had to say more than my own knowledge. Like, I would go to your page for an opinion.
Yeah, heartfelt opinion.
If you had any interest in it, I think you should do it. I know you just said you didn't, but if you did and for some reason actually broke it down, I think it would have a very, even just for the Australian market, I think it would have a very big effect.
Yeah, because
Well, that's actually the other thing as well, because that's what most people do, don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Like, most people that I talk to, they're just like, what do you reckon about Trump? And it's just like, well, does it matter? Like, why are you talking to me about that?
Well,
like, most people seem to consume American news and think that it's like, that's what Australia's problems are as a result.
It's bizarre,
Like with the
that.
gun thing, for
American
instance. It's like, we
politics is-
solved this like 20 years ago, right? Like, what are we talking about?
That was good on your recent bit.
Really
I would
interesting how
agree with that. Like, people could name the last few presidents, but they couldn't name like a prime minister going past Howard or something.
No.
Like, it's sort of sad in a way.
Can't name the first. Remember how they had to do that sad advertising campaign to like make everyone know who the first Prime Minister of Australia was?
Christ.
We all know who George Washington is, but they had to
Wow.
have a public service announcement just repeating Edmund Barton over and over.
Yeah, no one's really interested in the deacon years, are they?
It's so true. So like, yeah, it's just a different game for me.
Very
like,
gladiatorial about American politics.
Huh?
Something very...
Well, it's the fact that there's
it's
so
like
much power. in it.
Yeah, and it's so
The leader of the free world, it's a
entertaining.
fight.
The free world.
Yeah.
But
It
that's the
seems
other
so
thing
much
as well.
more brutal.
They have a lot of commentators making it entertaining.
That's true.
That's the difference, right? Like commentators
It's a
here is
show.
just like some fat guy on Sky News versus like some skinny chick on the ABC. You know, like it's like, who cares? It's so lame. Like, I know what they're talking about and I'm bored.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in that world and I find it unwatchable. I don't know who these 20,000 people are that are watching Sky News. They are braver souls than me.
Just people at the Qantas lounges.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much.
So it, yeah, and
Virgin
Telstra
Lounge,
buildings, mind you.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and previously stations in Victoria, but not so much now.
I do like. I honestly, when I turn on Sky News, at least they're just so unapologetic. It's
Yeah,
entertaining
that's what
to
I'm
watch.
saying.
How
Have a
it's like,
strong viewpoint.
They're just like
Malcolm Turnbull is a cunt.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is entertaining.
Second time.
Second.
I retract the statement about Malcolm Turnbull, and he's an all right guy. Don't know that? Alan Jones? He's just, he's a classic, that
It's
guy.
hilarious how that's the attitude. Even I've been watching myself, watching myself. It's been a big week. I've been watching recently British Parliament, the dude who's the Speaker of the House.
Order! I will have order!
It's fucking great. I watched it in bed
He's
the other night
great.
for like an hour. I can't remember his name, Dorsaw or something like
Yeah.
that. And it's amazing to listen to people like call each other names and then go, you need to retract that. And they go, fine, I retract it. And then it's like it never happened. It's fucking ridiculous. It's just like,
Whereas here, it's just like, order! Is that what they say in the House?
Yeah. Oh, and a lot of this. Members to my right.
Members to my right, the honourable member. The honourable member.
the honourable gentleman will retract that statement, calling him silly Billy.
Question time is awesome.
Everyone
I
in
love it.
Australia
You know
just
what?
sounds
You
like
find-
they have heat stroke. Like, order, all right, enough. Calm down.
Yeah, just really laid back. That's why I love this country. That's why you could see the differences in different Westminster parliaments, right? Like the British one is just a bunch of private school educated people that have like mastered debate class. So they're just like all these really harsh put downs all the time that are like eloquently worded. Then you come to Australia and it's always just like, you're a joke. Now you're an absolute grab, disgrace, kind of that kind of, and like everyone's like these laid back fat laughs, being like, so Aussie, isn't it?
I love it.
And then you go
So
to Canada
true.
and it's just pathetic. Like it's just like Justin Trudeau gets up,
Sorry.
makes a really bad point, and then everybody on his side claps politely, and the other ones, their like mad call is to just sit there with their arms folded.
Pretty much.
How Canadian is like it
Yeah.
gives you a flavour of the country you're in. You know?
On politics,
So
while we're
true.
talking about the UK in particular, because I know Jordan Peterson was talking about this recently in common law countries where, and I put this in our notes about basically the persecution for crimes of offensiveness. What are you guys thinking around this at the moment? I mean, we haven't had too much here, but over in the UK, obviously there was that court case where he tried to get his dog to do a Nazi salute, and apparently that was a bad thing. And
In Scotland.
yeah,
I know,
in
I
Scotland.
felt so bad. But then I saw the guy and he was just such a disgusting, gross-looking man. It was just like, dude, like,
Rough.
just wipe your forehead from its sweat or something. And so, like, I kind of felt, I was just kind of like, well, I'm kind of glad he's getting punished because of how much of a slob he looks. But,
Isn't that
like, in
kind of the
general,
thing
like, yeah,
with,
the
like-
principle.
With like Harvey Weinstein, you just look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, he must be guilty.
You want them to lose.
Trial by appearance.
Can you imagine him trying to put his cock near you? You just, like, it would make you vomit in your mouth.
He's so small.
This is why he became such a monster. Probably
Yeah,
because all throughout his life, people were
Because the
just
footy
like,
boys
"Oh."
didn't like him.
Yeah,
Yeah, if he was super hot, he wouldn't be in trouble at all.
He just wanted the
Literally.
footy boys to like him.
exactly. That's what everything
fuck
comes
heaps
If
down
of
anyone,
chicks,
if
man.
anyone doesn't get that, go watch Neil's recent clip. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
what-
yeah, the principle of it is terrible. But yeah.
but do you guys worry about that, like as comics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like none of
100%,
you
man.
could go to a uni here. I couldn't see any of you doing a show at Melbourne Uni.
I'd love to.
Oh, it depends on uni. Like, I go
No, but
off
you
on
wouldn't
Wollongong and
be
stuff.
allowed in, Isaac. They wouldn't let you in.
No, I know. I'd love to.
It's not as
though.
bad as America, but I'm just saying.
No, it's definitely not as bad as American college campuses. But
But you should do it, Isaac. You should try and book a thing at Melbourne Uni.
You should
and
get
people
Josh
and
to
just
book
film
it.
it. You know, like I'd
Man.
watch it.
That would be. I would actually partly bankroll that just for enjoyment.
if there's any donors out there that want to get involved, I'll do it. I'm not scared.
I'll give you some twisties and a can of Coke.
The thing is, I'm very across all these arguments on a peripheral point. Like I don't think I can argue a lot of these points down tooth and nail, which concerns me because a lot of people want me to comment on so many different things that it's hard to be an expert in all those type of sort of fields. So that is something that concerns me. Before I'd go into like an argument or a debate, I would need to be a lot more well versed in that situation. I'm certainly no Jordan Peterson, obviously. When I met him, he is such a different human being, and like he just sort
How
of,
so?
with just the way he speaks. Like he's just like very well calculated. Not Elon.
Very measured.
Not Elon
Unbelievably
Musk measured. Like he sits there for 5 minutes and goes, and then delivers the most perfect sentence, perfectly done. That it didn't, the opposite of what I just did then. But yeah, he is very, very calculated. And I think that is why he's so successful. He's not like me, who is emotional in the way that I speak. Because I'm a comedian, it's just like if someone says something in the crowd, you got to go, ah, with a response immediately.
And Jordan Peterson really understands the Overton window of debate, and he plays within it really well. He never goes out of that, and he forms his. You see him. So, like, if he's on Fox News, he presents himself differently to when he's on Q&A. He's very good at understanding what the parameters of what is acceptable on each medium is. So he's like, he plays the mainstream media better than anyone I've ever seen, really.
He's done very well.
He understands the audience he speaks to pretty well.
Yeah. I guess because of psychology, isn't it?
Censorship is a problem, and I think we may face it more into the future as well.
Like as an example, that Fraser Anning thing. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I made a video about it, and I think it got like 700,000 views in 3 days, but then it got age restricted, and it's had like 10,000 views since, which is hilarious.
Really? Fuck.
Yeah.
We were talking about how it could extend to things like with Egg Boy, knives and stuff like that. But just in general, what he said, regardless, do you think he should
He can say that. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. But I can say that he's an arsehole for saying it.
Yeah.
That's my point. And people are like, oh, when I made the video, you're against free speech. I'm not against free speech. He can say whatever he wants.
I think
that's the issue there. Yeah, I
don't think
agree.
he should be banned or anything. Like, if they choose to ban him, that's fine. But it shouldn't be like it shouldn't become. I guess the point that was made in Parliament in the Senate the other day was that it's a slippery slope because who decides what is it? What is hate speech?
He shouldn't be banned. It's just political brownie points. That's all they want to. They just want to go look.
Yeah,
at
they don't give a shit.
That's the thing. You can control.
If
speech.
the Greens say something just as bad, they've never really cared.
100%.
No one has ever really cared.
You can control speech as much as you want. What you can't control is thoughts. And so if people are saying something, that's them, just enunciating what they're thinking. And if they're not allowed to say those things, those thoughts will just fester and actually, I think, manifest themselves in an even more dark way. So, 100% I'm against all the censorship. There needs to be some very basic restriction. If it's a direct call to violence, yes, that can be prosecuted. But
it finds its echo chamber easier. And so you can't...
That's the thing.
I just read the original book on free speech by John... can't remember the guy's last name. John Stuart Mills. Jonathan Haidt and someone else from the Heterodox Academy made an amazing book. It's like fully illustrated and it makes it really, really readable. It's just excerpts from that original book on free speech. And the problem that they speak about back then in the 1860s is that if you have ideas that sit in certain places, they fester and grow within those groups. And the greatest example was the Christchurch shooting. Like the fact that guy was there and he's in his own little clique and he's talking about these things and no one is really there to challenge his ideas on major platforms, then of course you're going to have I can't actually get onto 4chan anymore, but I used to just go on 4chan politics just to look at it, to see what these people are saying so you can better understand the argument against it. It's a rabbit
hole, isn't it?
It is a real rabbit hole, but the point is that you can't have that shit on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that because people get banned and then they go into their, like I said, they go into their little cliques.
Yeah, they find their own rabbit hole.
There is a difference because these social media companies are private companies. So I think if they want to, they can ban things. But I think the big thing with... I disagree with it personally, but they're
the town square now.
It's whether or not you see Facebook as a public utility or as a private
Well, it has become a utility. It's just the reality of the situation.
Sure.
They don't want to admit it.
The thing
I'm a Facebook shareholder. I don't want to admit it.
I'm really shocked that... I don't know the mechanics of a site like Facebook, but how hard could it be for a bunch of investors to come up with some sort of alternative to Facebook and create some competition?
I think it'd be tough.
I think it's impossible.
Networks.
Is it just to build the website?
It's too ingrained.
Networks are networks for the very reason that that's what makes them valuable. Like the first... It's like people who say in the crypto world where I work as well, they say, oh, this X shitcoin is going to overtake Bitcoin. No, Bitcoin is always going to be the coin. It was the first one that has the most people utilizing the network.
But wouldn't you have said the same thing about MySpace?
But MySpace became shit. We didn't have a news feed Facebook really changed
Yes,
the
it was
way
innovation of the free
Yeah,
market
the
that
innovation.
really brought the demise of MySpace.
Yeah, but the
This is
smart
really
thing about
nothing.
the smart thing about Facebook is they bought the next big thing. They bought Instagram. They bought WhatsApp.
Sure.
You know, like Messenger now, and I can see it happening on WhatsApp. I play games with my siblings. I play word games and Sudokus against my siblings, and it's all in Messenger. I don't even use Facebook anymore, but you can see everything moving that way, and they've been incredibly smart at buying the next thing, so
Like
to
it
speak,
could
or
happen.
integrating it.
It could happen.
Very
but it'd be
doubtful.
very unlikely. I think the only way it would happen would be through augmented reality or VR. Maybe
Yeah,
the first adaptation to that. Perhaps that could be the next sort of social media. But as you said,
But they'll probably just make another app for it.
probably.
I don't think
They also have the
anything is
capital
ever-
too.
Yeah, they have the most amount of
Timeless.
money, the most amount of users. It's like people who say with Apple,
There'll
Apple
always
just...
be something else, I think, to be perfectly honest. Like something.
I don't know, man. I feel like we're in a situation where big tech is like big oil back in the day now. You know, and I hold shares in
And
two
then
of those
big tech
companies.
came along and, took away a lot of the power of.
No,
Yeah,
the
but that was
only
like-
thing that changed big oil, though,
But I guess
was
okay, so-
antitrust, the breaking up of those businesses.
Right. So do we?
I'm saying that they're so all-powerful now that
It's
we're getting to...
basically a public utility,
Well,
and it should have the laws of the state, which are in America free speech, for example, and not their own.
Yeah, and
laws.
also, like, think about it. Do you really want Mark Zuckerberg, that fucking reptile, like him determining who's good and who's bad?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
Like,
what scares me about
Don't
it.
you
scares the-
reckon? That's
Yeah.
such a scary thought. Like the nerds in big tech.
yeah.
That it, like
Yeah,
you would have to be a
but
bit
then
autistic
do
or
you want, like,
sociopathic
some
to be that
bureaucrats
intelligent.
to do it then? Like
Huh?
what? Or do you want some people in government?
No,
to do
I
it?
just
Like,
wanted
that's the
to
alternative.
basically just be that 8chan board and just be like, post what you want.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's
I
how
think-
it should be.
I think-
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
I think we all agree on that, but it's just whether or not they have whether the big tech companies have the right to censor or not.
But the thing is, with the 8chan thing, is the advertisers pull out and then that doesn't exist at all. That's the concern, I guess. But that's why they demonetize shit on YouTube, because people keep threatening to pull out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, with
They're now
then it
beholden
starts,
to the
this is the scary
advertisers.
thing where it starts getting political, though, because when they started banning Alex Jones and they made up that narrative of just like, it was all just based around Sandy Hook. Like,
Yep.
it was all a political attack to get rid of a voice that industry didn't agree with, right? That's not cool, man. Like that's
that is
a really
that is
slippery
scary.
slope
Yeah,
from there.
without a doubt.
And it is. Like they're banning more and more people now because they've realized that people don't actually give that much of a shit. Like, yeah, Ben Shapiro will release a video
Yeah.
being like, free speech is changing or whatever, and there's just, again, what you were saying, the next day no one gives a shit. Like everyone just goes on with
the
their
news
life.
cycle is so
just
fast.
keeps going
Crazy
quicker.
thing,
yeah.
yeah.
it has gone from like a weekly news cycle to like an hourly, 12-hourly news cycle. It's terrifyingly fast.
yeah.
What else also equally terrifying is how much I need to do a wee at the moment.
Same.
Do you mind if I
Yeah,
go?
let's go. Let's take turns. Speaking of, get your
Classical
your thing
liberalism.
What segue are you going to go with here after
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. Well, just on Lord of the Rings.
Jeez.
Who?
All right, are we back? Oh, okay, we're back.
Yeah, we're
now.
back. Lord of the Rings.
What character
who's-
would you be?
I would be.
How are we going to cut from what we were talking about?
Oh, I thought
to
that's what
this?
you were going to ask.
No.
Oh, but now I want to know.
Now, what character I'd be? It'd be a tough call between an elf like Legolas or
That's not the Australian way to pronounce his name, by the way.
what is it?
Legolas.
Legolas. Fucking Legolas, mate.
Legos.
Bloody legless, mate.
One of someone in the Rohirrim. Love the Rohirrim.
Oh, the horse guys.
The horse guys.
Yeah.
In the plains.
They really
Man.
saved the day.
I
Yeah.
do not know. I watched the movies, but I don't know enough.
can't remember.
Okay.
One of
so-
those big walking trees.
Yeah, walking trees. They're
Wait, we're
great.
basing this off personality or what we like?
I'm just basing it off what I like.
Bit of both, bakery.
I just think that'd be cool, a walking tree.
Off personality and the way I look, maybe Gimli.
You're too tall.
Is Gimli the
No,
the
he
dwarf?
just fundamentally disagrees.
No, you'd be
I
you'd be a
disagree.
man from Gondor.
What? I'll just
Big,
go.
broad-shouldered,
I'll just go with it and say I'll be Frodo.
swinging.
Big hot bit. Oh,
Frodo.
of course you have to be the lead character.
What about you, Jordan?
Yes.
Who's that guy that like whispered in the king's ears in Rohan and made him sick?
Yes.
Worm tongue, that like,
Worm
you're
tongue.
a warmonger. That'd be me for sure.
Just in a Gladys Berejiklian's ear. You are a woman, Gladys. Berejiklian.
The Liberal government.
Screaming into that old man's ears. I thought he was deaf.
The point I was trying to make, though, was... Is anyone here excited for Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when it comes out, it'll have just come out on the Monday. We'll publish on the Wednesday.
Cool.
Oh, yes. I can't wait for Game of Thrones.
one of the-
I am fucking shitting myself. I'm like, don't die. Just want to watch this.
Yeah,
That's literally my mindset right
I'm
now.
very excited about it. I'm very balls deep into it. I bought a sword because of the show. And
Dude, you would really like
real sword.
Mjolnir, this bar we're going to go to tonight.
well, let's go.
They sell swords and everything.
Bullshit. At a bar?
That horn, that Viking horn,
Hang
which is
on.
made out of goat horn, I bought there.
Who would sell a sword at a bar? That sounds...
They've got a license.
That's dumb.
The owner has a
Yeah,
license to sell
actually.
swords.
Like,
Selling weapons.
what if there's a punch on you? Go,
among
right.
No, you have to
alcohol.
take it off site, obviously.
But it's on site.
Right, so you buy it
Get
and
it.
You
then
gotta walk outside.
you got to immediately take it away.
Look, I don't know. There might be some specifics with it. I don't know.
Oh, we're gonna find out tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah,
crazy.
I want to buy one of the bigger horns, and you can drink out of
Hey,
it.
we all want a bigger horn.
Do you guys have a show to...
Yeah, Isaac's got a show.
I got a show at
First dick
9:15.
9:15 every
Nice.
night.
What time's your show?
Oh, fuck. Now you're testing me. 8.
That's 4:30.
What?
So we got heaps of time.
This is
4:30.
the fucking thing about the comedy festival is I'm just like, I got like 10 hours to my show time. It's ridiculous to just sit there and just... Actually, it was Jerry...
that's what happened.
It's
Jerry
so hard to
Seinfeld
be
said-
productive when you've got a show that night, and particularly when you're in a festival atmosphere.
Yeah, you were saying that before. Like, what do you guys do during the day?
Jerry Seinfeld said that to be a good comedian, you have to be good at waiting. You have to be waiting for the show. You've got to be waiting for the plane. You've got to be waiting for the plane to be late. The plane's late. Then you've got to be waiting for it to disembark. Then you've got to be waiting for the car to pick you up. You've got to be waiting at the airport. You've got to wait at your room. Then you've got to wait for the show to start. And people are late. So you've got to wait for the people to get in. And you've got to wait because there's something wrong with the sound.
Seinfeld joke.
And it's just a constant wait. And you're freaking out. Like I freak out a little bit. And you get on and you're done. And you get photos. And then, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It is really weird,
Such an
isn't
anticlimax.
it? It is. Yeah.
I think
It's a
who was I
lone
talking
wolf
to?
life by default.
Oh, so much. And then you just
must be
you
tough.
have this real rock star moment where you're on stage, hundreds of people are cheering for you, you get all the photos, and then you're just alone in a hotel room. And
Furiously
it's just
masturbating.
such a yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, that's
and then
an
you
up.
realise you forgot to like wash your hands. You're like, oh no, so many people's germs on me dick.
It's such a juxtaposition.
Of the
All those
handshake.
cougar germs.
All those cougar germs. Fuck, not again.
What are you guys excited about for 2019? What's exciting in your future?
Ooh.
The end of it. Just fucking over this year.
Already?
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Bleak.
So early calling
No,
it now.
I-
2019 shit. What month is it? April.
No,
Million subs. He's going to get a
million
million
subs.
million
I'm going to go
subs.
to Europe. I'm going to do shows over there.
You're going to go to Europe.
I've got an Australian tour at the end of the year. It's all
damn.
happening. Very exciting.
Fuck. Jealous.
What about you, Neil?
I just want to get back on, like 2019 is a year where I just want to get motivated again and get back on track and get back into really regular content, particularly at the back end of the year. And I've got some character ideas that I want to test out on my main channel. And yeah, I think I've moved on a little bit from the cultural short films. I think I've said everything I could possibly say in those, and I also think a lot of those were targeting the cultural left, and now everyone, like a lot of people, do that. So I'm just like, I've said what I want to say there, and now I want to just experiment and try different things. And it sounds like a porn video. I just want to experiment and try different things.
One
and-
experiment.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. It's not like a reset, but this is a real shake-up year for me and my career. And
Awesome.
yeah,
It's good.
Yeah,
Why not?
What about you?
exactly.
I want to be a self-help guru.
Man, I love
I'm out.
your,
Peace, cunts.
Dude, I love your
I'm
self-help
not doing
videos.
comedy anymore. I'm
So
done with
are you
this
going to
gay
get
baby.
cap teeth and you'll have ads on Instagram? I can
No,
tell
no, no,
you
no, no,
about
no.
drop shipping.
man,
Oh,
his
man.
self-help videos are so good.
Have you seen that guy on Instagram?
No,
Yes.
who's that?
Have you seen him?
Is he? There's one dude
He
that
lives
wears
on the
like
Gold
a
Coast.
shit suit, and he's like, man,
Isn't that
if
all
you
of
want-
them?
If you want to know
All
how
from
to,
Lowe's?
if you want to know how to develop income online, then you need to listen to this video, and it's
I
going to
know
go for
the
2
real-
minutes.
The really buff Aussie guy.
Nah, he's not buff. He's some skinny little dude. He did it in a cemetery once, a video, and he's like, your life is going to end soon, and you need to know how to develop capital online, and I'm going to tell you how. Stick around for the next 2 minutes and I'm going to show you how to change your life today.
Did you stick around or you just click skip?
No, I watched the whole thing because it was hilarious.
Good on you, man.
I'm going to make a video on him because he's a fucking special.
I can't remember the guy, but it's sort of similar to that sort of stuff. It's just like him standing on the beach. He's clearly got dentures on now. And he's like, I'll tell you about this great thing. I had this animation business and I was struggling, but I found Amazon fulfillment. It's like, yeah, you and a million other people, mate.
Damn,
so
that's
basically
his big
just
secret, Amazon.
By the way, Jeff Bezos's wife walked away with $36 billion in the divorce settlement. She's now the 4th richest woman in the world.
Hashtag the wealth gap.
Well earned.
Hashtag get your fucking prenup done.
Well, it doesn't matter, though. Prenups are worth nothing.
Really?
But what is 36 billion Jeff Bezos? Like, what was in his wallet that day?
That was half.
Fuck.
She got half of his wealth.
Well, it's always the case,
It's
isn't
always
it?
the case.
But what does she do?
Well, to be honest, if you look at...
I've read such a good bit on
I've read the Amazon book.
Oh, man.
Yes, she didn't create all that value.
50-yard shots could you do? Is that the... Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I've read the book, and in the early years, like, they really counted on... He would have really counted on her. So really what she's getting is for what she gave up in those early years.
Without a doubt, in a lot of situations, the wife has definitely contributed to...
But $36 billion.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest.
Surely 1 billion's fair, right? I think I'd be
How do you
happy
spend
with that.
$1 billion?
But what is... it's a good topic because, like, I don't want to... give out too much, but my uncle's actually going through a divorce at the moment. I'm learning all about
how many billions is
his
wife getting?
Obviously not $1 billion, but it's generally 50-50. Even though all the work is done typically by one, the view is you're in a contract that the government manages and you're in this thing and this family together, and that's the deal.
But this is the thing. This is everyone always makes this out to be like a gender thing, but it's actually just a thing about economics and how it's written out. Because I know this chick, and she worked really hard, and then she married some deadbeat. She lost she had to open up a small business with her own, like, the rest of the money that she had left after, like, this guy just came in and took everything, that she has to drive past her old house. Like, she was ready to retire. She's like 65 every day to pick up vegetables to go fucking cut up shit in her, like, late 60s. Man. You know, like, it's the way the court system's designed. It's just whoever has the most money, they just are instantly the devil.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's an archaic...
it's so bad.
I think it's an archaic way of looking at it because traditionally marriage was, it was a way to pool shared resources and bring two families together. But now it's more, I love this person, and there's more of a romantic ideal about it. But we still have that law situated about the economics.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty lucky in my family is, like, everyone has run or started a small business, and the partners together are fairly involved in that. Like, my mum controls everything financially in my direct or immediate family. My uncle and his wife run their business together.
Marriage.
No, well, it depends on everyone. But, like, and then me, my partner, then there's my cousin and her partner run their business together. So we've been quite lucky. I mean, my uncle was a bit different in this regard. She was a bit of a gold digger.
Maybe
they exist.
This is why I'm a single
genuinely awful person.
maybe with Bezos.
No one can take my money.
He doesn't care about money, Bezos. He's got so much money. He's got so much money that Jeff Bezos sent dick pics. One of the richest men in the world sent dick pics.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, if you need to send a dick pic and you're the richest man in the world, I think you need to address some more things than your marriage.
Yeah, but it was to his partner, though.
It doesn't matter. Why are you sending a dick pic?
I don't know. People like to sext.
You're Jeff Bezos. Get her on a fucking private jet and tell her to come over and suck a little bit of Amazon dick.
Yeah, but he's so... I can just see it. He's so obsessed with changing the world and starting his space company and all that, that he'd be like, nah, work too important. I mean, sometimes logistically it doesn't work. She might be busy as well.
Billionaires are people too. They've got their vices.
Normal. They're people.
They've got dicks.
Yeah.
It's fact.
Can you prove that?
and a smartphone.
Billionaires have dicks.
I reckon Jeff Bezos will be more pissed about the fact that he's having to give away this money and he won't be able to use it towards his space company.
I'd suck Jeff Bezos' dick for $1 billion.
Oh, 100%.
Suck it for $1 million.
I'd suck it for 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000.
Trying to outdo me,
maybe.
Neel.
I'd just suck it.
I'd suck anyone's dick.
Jordan's like, I'd suck it.
I'm hungry.
I haven't had lunch. Give me some jizz. Faggot.
High in protein. I reckon we jump into. We're just about to clock on 2 hours, so let's finish off with some short questions I want to ask you all.
Yep.
We can go around
Ooh.
anti-clockwise. Morning routine, right now.
Right now,
Quick.
fuck, how quick do you want me to do?
Hurry up. Stop talking about it.
Wake up. I try to meditate. I have a cold shower, go for a walk, then that's my morning bed. Then I have breakfast. Yeah.
Isaac?
I wake up, go get a coffee from Macca's and Brand Deal.
A cafe.
And then I go and I train. I do an hour and a half of training every morning. I do half an hour of MMA training and then kickboxing training. And then I go back and write videos and film and edit and all that type of shit, whatever I need to do that day.
Fuck, I would never start a fight with you.
No, don't. I'll kill you. And then after that, I go to the gym in the afternoon and I go to bed. Watch maths.
Whoa, you do MMA and
You
the
watch
gym.
hang on. You watch
damn.
maths?
Fuck yeah.
Jesus
Great show.
Christ.
It's hilarious watching these people that are far worse off than me.
Jordan?
Yeah, but look, I think it's important to acknowledge that what Isaac said is one of the truest things it's ever said. It is funny to make fun of people that are worse off than you. Now,
punching down.
it is. It's so much better than punching up.
Oh, mate.
But anyway, yeah, it's just exercise, read, meditate. Has always been for the last 10 years of my life. I just read it in a Tony Robbins book. Been doing it ever since. I
Exercise,
swear
read,
by it.
meditate. I love it.
I've never read a book.
Surely.
Fucking hell, I've got some
Surely you
here for
read
you.
Toad Rage in
No,
year 4.
Never read a book.
What?
Really?
Even Harry Potter, I skipped pages because I can't concentrate like that. Can't do it.
So many people our age are like that
Can't
now.
do it.
It's really, it's kind of bad. I think smartphones have done that.
Yeah, they've
For
done
a
that.
while there too, I used to read a lot when I was a teenager. Then when I was 18, 19, I was like, oh, screw that. That's lame. And then... And then I've picked up this habit of whenever I'm trying to like pay out a culture, I'll put on a WOG accent.
True,
and
your
I've
WOG
picked it
accent.
up from
Down.
you,
Oh,
man.
listen, bro.
I've
Told
totally
you.
picked it up from you.
Listen,
What are you reading, bro?
As racist as that
Hey,
is.
bro.
Yeah,
Bro, if you listen to
it's funny.
You could do like that. And then I really, like about a year or two ago, I was like, this is not healthy. And I've
tried,
been
I
able
just
to
cannot
concentrate
do it.
now, and I do read now.
I can't do it.
I try
I don't
to
know
read
why.
every day.
Okay, so no book recommendations then. Let's not do that. Evening routine. Go.
I just relax in the evening, like have dinner and...
Weights and maths. Despicable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've got a greyhound. I cuddle up with my greyhound.
Great little greyhound.
Rosie. She's
Rosie?
beautiful. Check out if this is a direct threat to everyone out there. If you don't adopt a greyhound, you're a bad person. The best dogs. Absolute
They are.
best dogs.
They
They're
are.
incredible
Yeah.
dogs, and there's I've never had a dog that has more love in her heart than this dog. It's incredible. She loves everybody. So yeah, that's about it.
Jordan, evening.
Don't eat anything except for fruit after 9, and then I either read or write more. That's pretty much all I do. I exercise, read, meditate, and then I just write, and then maybe I'll read at the end of the day, and that's my day, my life on repeat. I'm a hamster.
It's inspiring.
And then
No, it's
I'm inspired. I would be there.
literally...
All right, last question for you guys. What's a comedic quote or just a general quote, either's fine, that you live by or think about often?
I think about George Carlin's quote quite a bit, and it's the comedian's job to find out where the line is and deliberately push it. I mean, something along those lines. I should know the line specific, but that's
I'd go
the
with
gist
you,
of it.
Carlin. What does he say? I'm just merely sitting in the front row to the freak show or something like that.
yeah, that's another one.
That's what I love.
Comedy wise, one of my friends in comedy, Al DeBeno, who Neel knows, he's from America. Joe Rogan told him, and he told me that Joe Rogan told him. This is when I first started. That do what you think's funny.
Yeah, you said that last time. I like that one.
That's my
It's
favorite
very
one
good.
because it's so true.
Do what you think is funny.
Say what you think is funny.
Say what you think is funny. Okay, and you?
I think it was Aristotle. He was saying that
I knew you were going to blow us out of the water.
I fucking knew it.
I've got Rogan.
All right.
Rogan, Carlin. It
Well, I
was
believe that,
Aristotle that said once in...
On the 25th day of the 4th month, Aristotle said to his people,
Bruh, you think you're
But
better
there is
than
some
us,
debate
do you?
about whether it was the 20th or 21st.
Thou art doth cloth north waff.
No, but he was saying that the ultimate of a comedian's role is to point out people who are the exact opposite of the Delphic oracle, which is know thyself. So a comedian is pointing out people that aren't aware of something. And then a clown's role is to just be so unaware of how ridiculous they are. But the thing is, as a comedian, we'll never be as funny as just retarded people. You know what I mean? Like just
Maths.
absolute more maths. People on maths.
Edit
You
that
will
bit
never
out
be
of
funnier than that. Sorry, yeah.
That's so
retarded
true.
in the American context, not British.
Because when we do that thing where we were just talking about like not punching down specifically, but making fun of people that you could say are below. We're not just making fun of them because they're below us and unsuccessful. We're making fun of the fact that they're not aware.
They're not aware. They're not aware.
Self-unaware.
And you
yeah.
can do exactly the same thing to rich people. But the difference is when a rich person you're making fun, like my Malcolm Turnbull character, you're making fun of the fact that they live in such a bubble of opulence that like their lifestyle is kind of just like, why would anyone catch a train? Kind of like that view of the world, you know? But it's always just about pointing out unawareness.
Being the jester.
Boom.
Yeah.
I like that. Jordan Peterson's got a good quote on that, which I didn't cover. But anyway. Look, guys, thanks for coming in. We've cracked on 2 hours. I'm so glad, even though we first spoke about this in probably November of last year, I'm so glad I got you all in the room. And even with our table troubles, we were able to get this going. So
I like your table.
yeah,
Don't be too hard on yourself.
it's a great table. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Cheers.
thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Fun.
Goodbye.
Have
Bye,
a great
guys.
life.
Thank you for making it to the end. Before you run off, we need your help to grow this audience. Subscribe on your podcast app. Subscribing will give you priority access and help your fellow-minded listeners find Uncommon, or consider sharing this with a friend who you think would enjoy these sorts of episodes, and this will go a very, very long way in helping us build the audience. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and Twitter, or consider subscribing on YouTube as well. You just need to search for Neural, Neuralle, or consider following us on Instagram as well by searching Uncommon, UNCOMMON. But until next time, thank you so much for listening.